system in place to keep us in chains. By show of hands, who else is sick and tired of the same? 1% trying to keep us small, trying to keep us from getting out. Minimizing the struggles they've caused, saying we're not working hard enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the thousands in attendance and for the millions watching at home, DCK Productions proudly brings to you the greatest podcast in the world! The greatest podcast in the world? Suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. I appreciate it if you both suck it. Suck it!
We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
And welcome everybody to Suck It. I am the great and powerful King of Kings, Prince of all. That is awesome. Derek, how is everybody tonight on this Wednesday, September 23rd of the horrible year that is 2020? Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope everybody's having a good week, making it through okay. You know, it's hump day. It's the end of the week. It's, the middle of the week. We're getting closer to the end of the week. Tomorrow's Friday Eve, thankfully. We're getting there. About 3 months left in this year, and it can't get any sooner. It just can't get here any sooner than it already is. But I'm thankful that it's fall. There's a chill in the air, at least here in Northern Virginia. If you're anywhere else, I'm sorry, but, we're getting it nicely here. But, it is what it is. But tonight, we have another fun-filled, exciting night. First up, I have a lyricist. He's a writer. He's an entrepreneur. And then later on, I have a comedian joining me. It should be an all-around fun night. So, let's get right to it. First up, Mr. Mike Greenlee is an American writer, entrepreneur, and lyricist. Former vice president of Avon, who has helped popularize interactive online journalism in the mid-1980s and as kind of a forerunner to blogging. He also wrote my home state song, Our Great Virginia. So that's pretty cool too. So, with all that said, please welcome to the show, Mr. Mike Greenlee.
Hi there.
How are you, sir?
Very happy to be here, and I love our Virginia connection.
Yes, very much so. When I got that email from you last week, I was like, oh, that's so cool.
If my dad were still here, he'd be bragging to everybody that there are only 50 states, and his son wrote one of the anthems. So I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. It's a great song. I'm proud to be in Virginia now, after 35 years of fighting to get out of Florida. So I'm happy to be, excuse me, happy to be here in this wonderful, wonderful state. So how's everything going for you, man?
Well, it's the best of times and the worst of times, as Charles Dickens said. The best of times, I'm doing work that I love in terms of writing, which is speeches and PowerPoints. I speech coach people because I had to learn how to overcome stage fright, or I'd never have become a Fortune 500 VP. And I'm loving the work that I'm doing as a writer on songs. I've got new songs coming out. I've got a song on the Grammy ballot. I hope you'll let me put in a plug. And so all that is good. The worst of times, of course, is who's going to meetings these days. other than what we're doing. And a lot of our world has changed. And I feel the same way that you do based on your introduction about 2020. I'm looking forward to a whole new slate.
Yeah, I mean, this year has, it's been kind of crappy. But at the same time, it's kind of been a rejuvenation year, a revitalization year, you know, a chance for people to really reset and, reinvent themselves.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think having so many people having to be at home kind of fosters that kind of thinking, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I went, full time doing this in July because I was kind of forced to, and I have no aspirations to do anything else. So I'm reinventing myself as well, and I love it.
Great.
So let's talk about you because you've had a pretty interesting life. You've like we just said. You wrote the song for Virginia. You were the vice president of Avon. I mean, you've done a lot of different stuff. I mean, where did it all come from? How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I remember at the age of 4, before I could read or write, sounding out a poem. And I look back now and I realized that was, maybe it was an indicator that it was meant to be words for me, because I'm a guy I can barely change a light bulb. I don't know about changing a flat tire. I don't know what's under the hood of a car, but words are my friends. And that was true all through my youth. I skipped the 2nd grade, which made me more different than everybody. So I know what it's, and I was also the dirty Jew boy in South Carolina, Beaufort, South Carolina. And I had swastikas carved into my locker. So I had a lot of issues that I would have to process later in life. But maybe as I look back, having issues, one of the things it does is it causes you, if you're paying attention, to reflect. And I ended up actually transforming myself with 30 years of psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. I'm trained to be a psychoanalyst, a psychotherapist. I was going to, back when I was VP at Avon, it was the world's #1 beauty company, the world's #1 direct selling company. But I was going to quit and become a full-time psychotherapist. I was already seeing patients and getting supervised part-time. And then Avon made me the youngest VP in their history. And my parents said, "Oh no, young man, we want our son to be a Fortune 500 VP." So I stayed there until I got the courage to do the bravest thing I'd ever done and leave corporate life and become an entrepreneur. So now I use words for executives with their speeches, their PowerPoints. I coach them in overcoming stage fright, which is very common. I give motivational speeches, but the joy, sort of a sideline separate track, is using my words for lyrics for other artists and also for good causes. Let me give you one example.
Please.
So I have a song on the Grammy ballot right now. It's in a category called Americana, or American Roots, which is sort of a cross, as you may know, between country and folk. And my song is called I See You. And the reason, and it's with Grant Malloy Smith, who's a terrific expert in the Americana genre. And the way the song came about is we had agreed to write a song together. And I was asking him, did he have an idea of what it would be about? And he told me that he had been on tour as a musician, and he heard a woman in her 80s say to her friends that she felt completely invisible. And she hated the feeling that young people just brushed right past her with no idea that she was worth anything, no idea of what she had contributed to the world. And so Grant said he'd like to do a song that says to somebody like that, I see you. And having grown up, by the way, as the dirty Jew boy and younger than everybody, the geek. So as painful as some of those memories were, what they did was they made me sensitive to other people and to prejudice. So a lot of my songs actually benefit worthy causes, and I try to do things about that. Anyway, Grant said that we would do the song I See You, and what has happened to it is that a organization called Masterpiece Living, which specializes in helping people age better. You're not useless. I don't care if you're 80 or 85, you still have value and you have history. And so what is wonderful from my point of view is Masterpiece Living has adopted my song, I See You, as the theme of an anti-ageism campaign. And it's going to come out next year. And I just love it that something that I worked on out of love and for creativity is going to maybe help to diminish a certain prejudice, in that case, ageism. But my songs have benefited other, Alzheimer's, for example. Another one of my songs benefited the Alzheimer's Foundation. So I just like the idea that my only real major gift is words, but at least I try to use them, whether it's for my clients to help them be more successful or to help the world be better through my songs.
That's pretty, miraculous. I mean, that's, especially the song, where you're saying about the, you know, being used for ageism. I mean, that's a huge problem in this country right now.
The being inspirational, I didn't understand.
No, I said, ageism is a big,
yes.
It's a big problem in this country right now.
Yeah, and you know what? Because I'm very sensitive to prejudice of any kind. Ageism works two ways. Somebody could say, "Oh, he's too young; he shouldn't get the job," or "too old." I'm a freelancer now, having left corporate life. I'll live longer as a result. But so now, when I help other executives, agencies hire me. If a company's doing a product launch, they'll call in different agencies. Maybe I'll be the guy who's the creative director and the writer and the speech coach for a product launch. And what was said behind my back by the manager of a production company, it was said, "Well, I know Mike Greenlee is the best, probably the best in the business. He's so good with words, but I want to hire a cute 30-year-old to impress the client." And what the agency person didn't realize, executives can tell that I've lived life on their side of the desk. No 30-year-old would have had a chance to climb the corporate ladder yet. But ageism is prejudice, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, especially, in the entertainment business, it's a huge problem in the entertainment business. Whether it's, let's go ahead and use this 30-year-old as a 15-year-old, or, let's go ahead and, typecast every old guy as the grandpa or the great grandpa, or, it's just one of those things that just, it's not fair to anybody involved.
Right. And I'm a big champion of fairness. I mean, it's as simple as that. Another one of my songs is about women's equality, and it's called "Love Your Own Power" by a Haitian American singer, Natalie Jean, and she's got an album on the Grammy ballot too. So I feel like if that's what I do, which is words, I might as well try to do good with them. And again, when a client hires me, my job is to make them, my tagline in that field is "sound like yourself, only better." So I take input from what the client wants to speak about. I listen in stereo. One ear is for the client, what do they want to get across? The other ear is, what is the audience? Is this making sense to me? Well, the same thing is true if I'm writing a song for an artist. I'll interview the artist and I'll pull a story out of his or her life and then create a song that has personal meaning. So thank goodness I found words, because believe me, you don't want to do much else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way, with words. I mean, obviously I, speak on air, 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, and it's, they're powerful. Words are very, 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 very powerful. And, the thing about it is, with, the stuff that you're doing, whether it be, writing lyrics for, an artist, or, being a creative director for, a launch campaign, you're giving back in a lot of different ways. What's inspiring you to continue on nowadays?
Gosh, well, again, I guess I should say in terms of ageism, I don't believe in arbitrary limits. I believe one should find one's own limits. And when I was in psychoanalysis, my analyst said that I had been raised to be hyper empathetic, to pay attention to what the other person feels. And of course, if you're being taunted as a child, you're going to be very aware of what other people feel. But as painful as that was, there's an advantage to being empathetic. And so now I like the fact that I'm not just paying attention to myself, but that I try to be sensitive to other people. And frankly, I wish the world were more that way. One of my songs, I'd like to mention this. One of my songs is called Common Ground. And a line from it is, everyone is different. All of us are equal. Can't we find some common ground? And what I'm proud of is that in Beaufort, South Carolina, where I grew up, the mayor right now, near the end of his third term, he knew of my song. We actually knew each other in Beaufort growing up. And he's writing a book about Reconstruction, which is the time in American history when slaves had been freed and before Jim Crow came along and enforced segregation. And I don't have to tell you or anybody in the news right now, the issue about Black people and racism and police and all that. So Billy Kaiserling, his name is writing a book and asked me to co-write it called Sharing Common Ground. So he took my title and built on it. And his whole idea is that Reconstruction, because you've been in the South a little bit, and of course the world has changed since I grew up there, but still there are a lot of people who have prejudices and preconceptions. Oh, he's Black, he's probably less intelligent or something like that. And what Billy wants to do is to have the achievements of freed slaves who brought over, by the way, a lot of skills from Africa too, when they were kidnapped and forced to be here. He wants Reconstruction taught in the schools so that kids growing up will realize, as simplistic as it is to say it this way, Black people have excellence as well. And it's not about this color of your skin. And so his whole idea is to incorporate into the educational system more information about what freed slaves had achieved and therefore the inner capabilities of all of us. I'm proud of that because obviously racism is another terrible prejudice. And now you already know why I'm sensitive to prejudice of any kind and otherness. And so I love that this book, Sharing Common Ground, may help to diminish racism, which I see as a real problem still in our country today.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this countless times, and I've said it as soon as as early as last week, or excuse me, yesterday. If you go back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s, if you listen to the music of the Beatles or Joplin or Hendrix, the things that they were singing about and talking about back then are still the same issues that we're having today. And 60, 70 years later is a problem, and why are we continually reliving our own mistakes and not learning from those mistakes? You know what I'm saying?
I think there's a song idea in there. I'm going to have to remember this about reliving our mistakes. Thank you for that.
Hey, you're welcome.
Well, and their whole point ought to be learning each day to be better at achieving one's own goals selfishly, but also better as a member of the cosmos and the planet. And I think if we pay attention to and get to the feedback that life gives us, I don't see that there's any excuse not to be continuing to get better every day.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that. I mean, I strive to be a little bit better than I was yesterday every day. And that's the only way we're going to learn. It's the only way we're ever going to grow. The moment you stop learning something new every day is the moment you stop trying. If you're not trying, the littlest bit, then what's the point? But, at the same time, if you're learning and continuing to grow every day, then you're just going to become, that much more wise. Smarts and wisdom are two totally different things. You can be book smart all day long, but, it takes a smart man to be wise. And, you can't, you can't have smarts, you can't have wisdom without smarts, but at the same time, you can have smarts without being wise. And, that's the only way we're going to continue to grow and move on, and hopefully start to really see some real change in the society.
Right on, brother. I mean, just as a person, I mean, I aspire to continuous self-improvement for myself, but really, as a society, we need to, not just America, but the world, and especially with climate change. And we have big problems as a planet, and the thing that is both frustrating and inspiring is what could happen what if this planet all found our common ground? It would be amazing what we could do if we united as opposed to fighting each other.
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty remarkable. However, it's going to take, it's not going to be the work of one or two. It's going to be work of millions in order to make that happen. And, there could be a time and a place where that could happen. I mean, there's been a lot of, idealistic, points of view where, that kind of stuff could happen. And I'm hoping, one day it does. I don't see it happening in my lifetime, but I sure as hell hope it happens in my kid's lifetime.
Well, and in science fiction, let's say often one of the key plots of science fiction is there's an intruder from another galaxy, let's say, who is hostile. And all of a sudden, the differences that we have on this one planet of ours can seem petty. And now that's just fiction, okay? And I'm not asking for some malignant outer space force to come visit us, but it is possible to pull together. Honestly, I think that the change in our climate is an example, and not the only one, of societal problems, poverty even around the globe, that could, I hope, will cause us to wake up and be more united.
With what we're talking about here, it kind of goes back to, our views on, because you and I share very similar views because we shared very similar childhoods. I was tormented for one thing, you were tormented for, something different, but it was along the same lines. So, how did what you went through as a kid shape who you are today?
Well, to have been bullied and taunted and ridiculed and ostracized, as painful as that was, does make me more sensitive to other people's feelings too. I'm more aware, for example, that every word has potential consequences, every action, certainly. So I think that as I look back on it, it's not that I would have chosen it. It was a painful childhood, but I'm grateful, really, for the empathy that it's given me. And as a matter of fact, the analyst I was working with, thinking I was going to become a therapist myself, told me that I had been raised to be hyper empathetic. And in a way, that's a downer because you're paying attention to everybody around you. But I think it's also a blessing because as a result of knowing what it's like to be an outsider and keenly paying attention to what other people are feeling, I think it's helped me be more successful. It did it as an executive. It does now as a writer for today's executives or a speech coach. And I think as a human being, how could there be anything wrong, from my point of view, how could there be anything wrong with paying attention to what other people around you are feeling and thinking? It can't be.
No, definitely not. I think, we would be a better society if everyone had a little bit more empathy. Whether you're hyper, empathetic or just empathetic in general. There's too many people out there that aren't, empathetic in any which way. And I believe the lack of empathy in this country, in this world today, is leading to a lot of the issues that we do have.
Well, and lack of empathy, I think, causes tribalism, is the way I would put it. And we're fractionated as a culture. I just have to believe that we're going to get better. I have to believe that.
Oh, I agree. Because
it's too painful not to.
Yeah, 100%. It's too well, it's not only too painful, but it's also really narrow-minded, of some people to think that, this is the way it is and it's never going to change. and again, that all comes back down to growth and wisdom.
You know what? This is some research that I've found. So sometimes I've been hired to run seminars on presentation skills. And so, for example, Roche, the pharmaceutical company, brought me to Lyon, France. And I was teaching a course to their sales directors from all around the world. And it was about how to help their sales representatives be more effective in calling on a physician. And what it turns out is there are quadrants of the brain and of every human, and our brains are wired so that one quadrant is more creative, the other is more analytical, and so on. And the research shows that the most effective teams are teams that are diverse, where people bring different perspectives. And the point about this particular workshop I ran for the sales reps was realizing that people are different. And if you are a sales rep and you want to have an effective call on the doctor, you ought to be paying attention not just to the message you're bringing, but who is this doctor and how can I best relate to him or her? So, for example, if you see a lot of scientific charts in the office, maybe you want to focus a little more on the research that sets your drug apart. But if you see a lot of pictures of family and friends and so on, maybe you also talk a little more about the human impact of the drug that you're representing. So paying attention to the other person and then adjusting yourself to connect. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the keys to success in anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Connection is the key to everything. Whether you're verbalizing it or whether it's a physical connection or whatever the case might be, that connection is definitely important. With everything that we've said here, I kind of think I've already figured out the answer, but I want to ask it. Maybe it goes a different way here. What made you get into psychotherapy and, psychoanalysis and stuff like that?
Do you mean as a patient or as a person who wanted to be a therapist?
Both.
Well, suffering as I did, the dirty Jew boy, people telling me to die, Christ killer, that kind of thing, and feeling all alone at Duke University. There were more students than there'd been in my entire hometown. And I was serious about thinking that the world would be better if I just kill myself. But having come through it, thank goodness for the psychotherapy, that when I could speak to somebody who wasn't judging me and who was actually wanting to hear my story and let me tell it in safety, that I'm a real believer in the value of various kinds of psychotherapy and psychoanalysis for people. And there's not just one type. But the beautiful thing about that whole process is that it helps you, thanks to a trained professional, look at yourself out from outside of yourself. And when you do that, even in my case, the suffering that I had as a child takes on a different meaning, because you now realize I'm not the only one who's suffered. And now that I understand feelings better as a result of the training in psychotherapy and even just being a patient, I'm realizing that every single person I meet is a human life with their own story and their own problems. And again, it's like common ground. Why can't we all get along? Well, if we can perceive each other's humanity and respect that in each other, then the pain that caused us to need therapy in the first place, in my case, can turn out to be a blessing. As painful as that was, I wouldn't take it back for a minute, because I'm a more sensitive and caring human being as a result of not having been privileged as a child.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because I'm the same way. I was beat down as a kid. I was beat down for being the poor kid, and it shaped who I am today. Do I still have a lot of anger toward it? Not really, because looking back, I realized there was a lot of underlying circumstances that unfortunately the Catholic Church teaches, which just makes people think a certain way, which it happens. But one of the things that you kind of touched on a little bit is whether it's somebody who only wants to talk about it in private or in a safety place, or just doesn't want to talk about it at all, that's one of the big things that I strive for, is breaking that stigma of, of secrecy. Whether, it's, if you want to do it in private and, in the comfortable, in that comfortable space of, with a therapist or a psychotherapist or whatever the case might be, a psychiatrist, that's cool. That's perfect. But at least seek that out. And if you can't do that, reach out to a friend, reach out to somebody, and at least be able to have that one person that you can lean on. Because, in this day and age, too many people are lost due to mental strain. 48,000 people committed suicide last year in this country. And that's a staggering number, especially when you consider that the majority of those are ages 10 to 24, which is actually in that age group is the second highest cause of death in that age group, other than just straight up accidents and trauma. And that's scary, because if it's beginning to be that bad in this country to where it's affecting 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, where are we going wrong as a society?
Well, I feel like we're, as I said, in tribes, and it's the wrong place to be in a future where the world is. There are problems that previous generations, potential problems for us, didn't have. Just the size of the population, that what's happening in the air, and so on. So what I want to believe is, what I do believe really is that what I know is we've got a shot, we've got a chance, and the more we can cross from our own dividing lines. Look, I happen to have studied 4 other languages: French, Spanish, German, Italian, and I can say nice things in a couple dozen others. And so for New York City cab drivers, if you're from Russia, I can say something to you, or Bangladesh, whatever. And it's a little gesture, but it's a way to connect and to reach out to somebody. And what I experience is every time I can say to somebody in Spanish, I can say in almost perfect Spanish, I've forgotten all my Spanish. I speak French better, but I'm happy to know you, something like that. And people always appreciate the gesture of reaching out to them in their own language. And as far as I'm concerned, that's just a symbol of reaching out to know somebody else, not just thinking about yourself. And I think that as people do that, when people do that, the experience of being seen and not invisible, to go back to my song, I See You, I think if one knows that one is seen, which I got from psychotherapy at least, then you become more open-hearted and more ready to see other people and how they're different from you. And can't we all get along? Well, yes, we can. But you have to have a mindset of wanting to and realizing it's in everybody's best interest and rising above one's own little narrow walls. I'm not ready to give up hope that we can. As a matter of fact, I think some of our problems right now may turn out to be blessings if they pull us together.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of, just when you think, you're at your worst, or just when you think you're at rock bottom, something comes along to change that point of view in a positive way. There's always that greener pasture. But the thing about it is, you get out of the universe what you put into it. So if you're at that rock bottom and you're sitting there saying, I'm at rock bottom, there's nowhere else I can go but down, even further down, I can't go up from here, I'm just done, I'm done. Well, then you're putting into the universe that's what you're going to do, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But if you're at rock bottom and you say, you know what, I can only go up from here, this is my lowest point, but you know what, damn it, I'm going to pull myself out of this, I don't care what it takes, then that's exactly what you're going to get. And I think that, with where we are right now, in certain cases, not, in everything, we have hit rock bottom in certain things. But you know what? It's going to take everyone to think positively to be able to pull us out.
Right on, brother.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just, it's the power of positivity.
Well, I think that, it may be a cliche, but I think it's true. And in fact, I think there's even documentation about it, that people who have low expectations achieve less, and people who are willing to dream about what's possible will achieve more. So I want to be in the camp of a dreamer who can vision a better world and then do whatever tiny bit I can to make it happen. I just, I have to believe that, let's say we were talking in 2025, you and I. Right now, I'm going to believe that even if climate change is worse, whatever other problems we can come up with, I I know in my heart that there's a chance, and I don't think it's 2%. I think there's a real chance that we can, as a culture, as a society, as a world, pull out of this, look back on it, and realize, you know what, we did some stupid things with each other in our nations, and we can be better than this. I'm not ready to give up on our future.
Neither am I. Neither am I, especially with everything that's been going on. Like we said, or like I said earlier, this is a time to reset, reinvent, and again, whatever you put in is what you're going to get out of it. I don't believe, it's the end. Absolutely not. There's so much more to be done. I mean, just look at with the last 4 or 5 months that we've been dealing with this Black Lives Matter movement. Look at all the change that has occurred. Now, we're still far away from, realizing that end goal there. But at the same time, a lot has changed and a lot more people are more aware of the systemic issues in this country. And not just with, Black Lives Matter, but with, LGBTQ rights, mental health stuff, all the stuff that is going on, women's rights and so on and so forth. It saddened me over the last 5 days to where, someone who was so prolific in their lifetime, in Ruth Bader Ginsburg, changed the way women are viewed in this country. Because of her, women can now sign contracts to own a house, own a car, can fight for equal rights as far as pay and stuff like that goes. But nobody wants to acknowledge that. They just want to continually talk about her politics. Well, her politics don't matter. It's her life and what she did for this country. She, valiantly fought for women's rights and a lot of different people's rights in this country. Yeah, not everyone's going to just agree with her politics. That's fantastic. But for people to be, dishonoring her name in the way they have been the last 5 days and so quickly wanting to get somebody else into that seat and, let's go ahead and undo everything she did. And, it's like, why are we still having these types of issues? Because, again, that's part of the systemic issues in this country.
I'm glad you mentioned LGBTQ because I am gay. But another reason why I struggled was homophobia is a real thing too, like every other kind of prejudice. And I didn't ask to be gay. I tried to be heterosexual. I dated, I had sex with women, girls, but it was clear that that wasn't what's inside me. And having a non-judgmental therapist, it could have been a friend, it's not like the therapy is the only solution, but having somebody who can help you take a more objective look at yourself and realize that you're valuable you have value, whoever you are, whatever you are. And in my case, as a gay man, that's freeing. But also, once you go through that journey, I think you become more supportive of other people too. And I'm going to make a mental note to check back with you in 2025 and see if we can't agree that, knock on wood, that we made progress.
I'm hoping you're right, because my 18-year-old daughter is gay. And, she came out last year, and I've always known, but she finally figured it out for herself, last year. And, for her 18th birthday back in December, me, her mom, and her, all, for her birthday present, we went out and we got her first tattoo, and it was a gay pride tattoo. And, but the thing about it is, myself and my wife, we got the exact same tattoo as well. So now I walk around as a 39-year-old straight man with a gay pride tattoo on my, my body. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it might have been, that's fine. Just do whatever you want to do. Just don't do it in my house. To now, people walk around going, why do you have a gay pride tattoo? You're straight. It's my daughter. Dude, that's awesome. 20 years ago, you would have never heard that. And so I think there's been huge steps in that direction. But I think there's still a lot more we could do.
For sure. But I have to say, I'm so impressed to learn that about you. It's just a beautiful thing. And we just need more of that. I'm really, it's kind of amazing and wonderful that you're that way. Good for you and good for your daughter that she has you. It was much tougher for my parents, a different generation, of course. It was very hard for them. I came out to them when I was 30, and they wanted me to marry a nice Jewish girl, a white girl. And I'm with a black partner now, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life because I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm trying to be my own best self. And I feel like if everybody could aspire to be their best selves as opposed to knocking down somebody else, well, I just know we'd be better. And I agree on the challenges, but still, I'm going to hope that by 2025, if we have this conversation again, we'll at least, God help us, we'll at least found some ways that we've improved as a society. And I think diversity is going to be one of the keys to doing that, where a straight white man, again, I'm impressed by your story, will have more consciousness of the value of everybody. Those who are not white, those who are not male, those who are not straight.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. There's too many people trying to make other people better when they're not even better themselves. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. I never even thought about it like that until just now. But you're right. I mean, there's too many people that are focusing on other people and not focusing on themselves. And I think that's where the now that you've mentioned it, it's like I think where the biggest issue lies is that we're too busy judging other people and not really listening to who we are as human beings.
One of my, I feel like I want to send you a copy of this. I wrote a book about AIDS at the request of my doctor back in the 80s. And it was before AIDS even had a name. And my doctor was concerned because he was losing patients and they didn't know what to do about it. And he said he wished somebody would tell the story. And by that time, I had become, as Time magazine quoted me, planet Earth's first interactive electronic journalist. I'm the first journalist in history to have covered the Democratic and Republican conventions and the Hollywood Oscars interactively on computer, where people could. But backstage at the Oscars, Steven Spielberg had won the award for E.T., and somebody from Spain or China, whatever, ask him if there's going to be a sequel. So this is interactive. And my only point is, I guess, that I believe that as a result of what we've unleashed, technology and the ability to even the ability that we have to do this now, to connect without having to use gasoline to be with each other. I'm going to believe that as big as the problems are, and I agree with you, 2020 has been a horrific year, but there's so much potential that we have. And if we can listen to each other more, we'll achieve it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, there's no problems, only opportunity. And, so the more problems that arise this year, the more opportunity to grow as, Americans and, human beings we have. But we need to capitalize on it. And we need to understand, where the biggest issues are. Without going into the whole political stuff, there's a lot of divide in this country right now, and we as a country just need to rise up grab each other's hand, red or blue, black or white, Hispanic or Asian, gay or straight, pansexual or bisexual, whatever the case might be, and just say, enough is enough. Can we just be Americans, damn it,
Yes. Can we be Americans? Can we be humans? Can we be citizens of the same planet, which we love and need to protect? Yeah, the answer is yes, we can. The question is, will we? And I've got to choose to believe that one of the benefits of these problems and pains is that we'll wake up more. This is on this day, September 23rd. That's what I'm believing. I'm still believing in our future. I'm still believing that we will find common ground, and in ageism too. I'm just another prejudice that we will learn to see each other. To quote my song, "I See You," as opposed to the cancel culture or immediately judging somebody and putting a label on them. Each of us is an individual, and well, I hope I'm right, and that in 2025 we can both agree that we made progress. But I've got to believe that we can. I know we can. I've got to believe that we will. The consequence of not doing it is just too depressing to think about.
Yeah, and you mentioned cancel culture, and people are way too quick to jump on that these days. One of the biggest ones that has come out recently was that Netflix movie about the kid dancers that was made in France, and as soon as that hit I think it's called Cuties or whatever it's called. As soon as it hit, the airwaves and the trailers came out and stuff like that, people just lost their mind. This is the sexualization of young girls. Why are we allowing this? Blah, 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 blah. But yet, the whole idea of the movie is exactly what they're saying. What everyone's protesting about is exactly what the movie is protesting about. And they're not getting that. Because, 10 years ago, when, Honey Boo Boo was popular and, Dance Moms and all that stuff, that was popular as all hell, but that's exactly what they were doing to their kids. But nobody gave a shit back then, and now all of a sudden it's a problem because somebody actually made a fictional movie about it, protesting it.
Right on.
People just don't, like you said, they're too quick to pull that trigger on that cancel culture. It's, instead of opening your eyes and broadening your horizons and understanding, that sometimes, you're not going to like what I have to say. Hell, 95% of the stuff that comes out of my mouth when I'm having a rant, most people don't agree with. But you know what? It's my opinion. And, people can cancel me all they want. But the thing about it is my points are my points. My opinions are my opinions. And sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But the thing about it is when I'm wrong or when anybody else is wrong, and then you as a human being or American or whatever can go to that person and say, hey, I think you were wrong and this is why. Let's go ahead and have a discussion about it, is when we grow. But no, what people do nowadays is, oh, I don't like what you said, I'm turning you off.
You're right. And I'm just cannot believe that we can't get past it, because a problem is really also an opportunity. I mean, it's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's a fact. When you see a problem, when you experience a problem, you can learn from it at least. And learning, there's no such thing as too much wisdom or insight or knowledge. So the more we pay attention and examine and are willing to be introspective and examine ourselves too and challenge ourselves too, just the better we're going to be. So I have to believe in the bright side of challenge is opportunity. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Again, it's all about communication and connection. Like we've been talking about this whole hour. It's been about communication and connection. And that's what I love about my show and the way I do this show. If you have a Wikipedia page, I go in there and I read the first paragraph and that's it. Because again, I don't want to know everything about your life. I don't want to know that kind of stuff. If I'm going to do an interview show, an entertainment show about your life and highlight who you are as a human being, why am I going to go and read Wikipedia about you? No, we can have this open dialogue conversation, learn from each other through our mouth holes instead of just reading it on a screen. And I think that's where a lot of the breakup of society is. People are too dependent on this device or the thing that I'm recording this whole episode on right now on my computer, and not the verbalization of, who we are as people.
We agree. I just have to believe that there's a path forward that's better. I've got to believe that, and I do believe that. The question is, well, what has to be decided in the years ahead is, I know that the opportunity is there. I know that the path is there. The question is, will we as a race, will we as a culture, will we as a country take advantage of the opportunity or lose ourselves? And I'm just not ready to think we're going to lose ourselves.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I don't, I'm not ready to lose who I am, and I'm not ready to lose who we are as a country. We haven't lost ourselves. Yeah, we're in a slump, but we haven't lost who we are. We haven't lost our identity yet. And, I think it's going to take more conversations like this to continually happen. Far too often, when, even now during the worst of times, are we just spouting, propaganda for one side or the other? And it's not a unity thing. Whether you're watching Conan, whether you're watching, Limbaugh, whether you're watching, whatever the case might be, if you're watching these programs, there's no unity involved. It's hate the right or hate the left or hate the, this or hate that or hate this, cancel that, whatever the case might be. And there's no unifying conversation going on. And I think that's where some of the biggest issues is in this country with, again, there's just a division that we just need to open our eyes to.
Well, I'm thinking still about your daughter. I kind of doubt, because she's only 18, you said, that she could have the perspective to realize how fortunate she is to have you and your wife as her parents, but to be accepted in the way that you have done beautifully. I'm really moved that you had a tattoo put on yourself, and that's a change, right? Just that is a change in her life, the rest of her life. You've helped shape that, and you're an example. And the more examples like that people see, I'm not willing to see the glass half empty. It's half full as far as I'm concerned, and has the potential to rise.
Yeah. See, my opinion is always with the half glass full, half glass empty. I think I've never been an optimist or pessimist when it comes to that kind of stuff. I'm very much in the middle. It's a half glass of water. It can go up, but it can also go back down. It's just a half a glass of water. It's always refillable. You can drink the rest of that glass and be completely empty, but that's what the spigot on my refrigerator is for. So hey, whatever. So, that glass is only as empty or as full as we want it to be.
Well, I am going to send you a copy of this book. It's now a collector's item. People are selling it for $2,000 in Japan. The book about AIDS. This was back in 1984. And I want to send, now that I know about your daughter, I've only a few there. It's a used copy that I'll be sending you, but it's a collector's item. And I'd love you to at least show it to your daughter. And from this person in New York, originally South Carolina, just tell her right on from me too, please.
Absolutely, I will. Most definitely. I appreciate that, the kindness of that and you doing that. Yeah, please, I will send you an email with my address and stuff like that. That would be awesome, because I'm sure, she would appreciate it, because she's all about activism and learning about her culture and stuff like that. Now she's hardcore about it. So yeah, I will definitely make sure that I bring her in on that, because that's really, really cool. Mike, you are a fascinating human being. You've done a lot in your lifetime, and you're continuing to, travel on with, the biggest smile on your face, because you don't want to let the downside of today encourage, your decisions for tomorrow. No, they're encouraging your decisions for tomorrow, but in the positive way, instead of just saying, you know what, screw it, I'm done. No, it's like, okay, what else can I do to help with today, with tomorrow, and then the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And I think that's really admirable.
Well, I can't help it. I've got only a few gifts, but this song, I See You, on the Grammy ballot for Best American Roots, if it helps, and this anti-ageism, if it helps reduce that prejudice, I'm just really glad about it. If my song about women's equality helps, whatever. And I am a believer in continuous self-improvement. And while my father ran my grandfather's building supply company, he had to lift heavy bags of cement. You can't do that as a 90-year-old. And I'm certainly far from 90, but I'm the best writer, the best wordsmith, the best speech coach I've ever been. And I think I'm the best lyricist. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be even better next year. That's just the way it is, because I'm learning and growing, and I know you are too. And God bless your daughter.
I appreciate that, because you've mentioned a couple times we're going to revisit this in 2025 to see what's going on then, and and you just said next year you're going to be even better. And that's how I feel about things too. Next year I'm going to take this show even bigger and better and all. And then by 2025, my goal is to make this show even bigger than the Tonight Show or the Late Show. Colbert and Fallon, and watch the fuck out. I'm coming. Because again, one thing that they don't do is this. It's all about, what are we promoting? Let's have a few jokes. Here's what the PR people say we can talk about, and let's just leave it at that. Open dialogue, open forum is what people are craving nowadays. And I believe, what we've done here tonight is going to open up a lot of eyes, and I really, really appreciate your candor, and I really appreciate your kindness.
Well, two things. One is, in terms of my candor, since I grew up being terrified to be myself, after all that psychotherapy, I treasure authenticity in myself, but I also support it in others. And so a friend of mine, so I'm a guy, whether you're a client or a friend or an artist, I'm a guy who's going to say what he means and means what he says. So I've been called the most earnest person on the Eastern Seaboard, and I'm a little offended. Why are they limiting my geography? But the point is, you can count on me always to say what I mean. And then the other thing I wanted to say is, what you just said about your goal for the show, I think that's really inspiring. And I love that you have that kind of vision. And I'm already proud to be part of it. But I already sense that you're going to do everything you can to make your vision come true. I'll be even prouder that I was part of it today when we compare notes in 2025.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I really, truly appreciate that. That means a lot to me, especially coming from someone like you. That does mean a lot. I appreciate it.
Well, there we are.
But anything I can ever do for you, just feel free to reach out. I would love to have this conversation with you again. I think, our conversation is far from over. I've enjoyed it thoroughly tonight. And I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours and hours, because I've just had a blast tonight. So thank you very, very much.
I feel the same way, and I can't help hoping that maybe there are one or two Grammy voters who've been listening too. So it's I See You, Best American Roots song. I had to put in the final plug. But no matter what, aside from that, I love knowing what and experiencing what you do. So to be continued. Let's leave it that way.
Absolutely, and I appreciate it, and I hope to God that you guys win that Grammy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
You're very, very welcome. You have a lovely night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. All right. So that was Mr. Mike Greenlee. What a night it's been so far. Let's take a quick commercial break. And hopefully by the time the commercial break is over, Mr. Marc Gordon will be on the show. Comedian extraordinaire with a lot of different stuff going on. So let's take a quick commercial break, and I'll be the right fuck back. Guys, ever wonder how I get this manly beard looking so good? It's all because of Viking Revolution. And at Viking Revolution, not only can you get some great beard balms, but you can also get some great beard oils, as well as some awesome quick shower pads, which helps prevent you stanking up after the gym. Also, these great wet wipes, which help prevent, stanky after going doo-doo. And also some pomades and some other great products, all at Viking Revolution. So do yourself a favor, go to dcproductions.com/sponsors, click on the banner, and get yourself some of these great products. Viking Revolution. Join the revolution. We spent the last hour, talking motivationally, talking about mental health issues, talking about prejudice and racism and all this other stuff. And while that was all fun and intuitive, it's time to laugh. And I think with my next guest, that shit's going to happen a lot. Because, when you get two comedians, on a radio show, a podcast, a panel of any kind, craziness will ensue, and I think we're about 30 seconds away from that happening. So, without any further ado, please welcome to the show, Mr. Marc Gordon. What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, it's great. How are you doing?
You know what?
Intro.
Say again?
I like that intro.
Yeah, my little commercial, yeah.
We gotta laugh, right?
Well, exactly. We got to pay the bills somehow too, right?
Exactly.
So, hey, how's life treating you, man? How's everything going?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just been a fabulous year. No stress or anything happening in the world.
Not at all.
No, it's been great.
It's been easy peasy.
Yeah, it's oh my goodness. It's a wild year and it's going to get crazier. So I've just been making a lot of content and just trying to develop a lot of different characters. And basically what I'm thinking is everyone's stressed out, so I'm just trying to make as much funny stuff, get people to laugh as possible.
I feel you right there. Comedy and music are two of the biggest, things in the world that make people just smile. And the more that we have of that, the better off we are.
You play music too?
I do.
What do you play?
I play guitar.
Oh, nice. What kind of style? Electric or acoustic or both?
I play electric primarily. I play a little acoustic, but I'm a metal guy, so I love my electric.
Oh, nice. A couple years ago, I saw at Outside Lands Metallica, and never saw them before. Amazing concert.
Yeah, I saw him a couple years back as well. That was the third time I saw him. I saw him in Baltimore, and just fantastic.
You don't appreciate how good of musicians they are to actually see them.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I saw him for the first time in '97. Yeah, and it only got better, in the 20 years difference that I saw him, but they're as good as they've ever been.
It's funny, Lars had his kid up playing drums.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is a legacy beyond legacy. I don't think there's a word for the legacy that band and the things that those their kids are gonna do beyond today.
Did you like early Metallica or did you like later Metallica, or just all of them?
I liked early Metallica through '92, and then Load and Reload has their place. A few songs here and there, but then Damage Incorporated was okay, but then after that it was all uphill from there. So there was a lull, but they're still one of my greatest bands of all time.
Who is your favorite band of all time?
Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, okay, nice. Mine's Led Zeppelin.
Nothing wrong with that either.
No, fun stuff. Yeah.
No, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, what kind of comedy you do? Are you doing stand up, sketch?
I do stand up. I do a storytelling type stand up and I'm one of those offensive humor type people. The more offensive, the better. You know, that type of comedy where you tell your joke and people don't know whether or not to laugh or boo you. That uncomfortability factor that just kind of comes with the territory, that right there is gold to me.
You know what? That's really funny because I also like that too. I watched this interview with Ricky Gervais and Larry David, and both of them said the best comedy comes out of uncomfortable situations. And I think that's so true, where the audience is like cringing, but they don't want you to stop. They want you to keep going and see how far you can take it over the line.
Yeah, that's why, you know, one of my favorite comedians of today is probably the most controversial, you know, comedian of today. The most, you know, what's the word? Offensive comedian of today in being Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say Ellen DeGeneres. Only offensive to the guests. Yeah.
Only offensive to our staff. But no, yeah, that was good. Yeah, Jeselnik is my guy. Oh my god, I can watch him and listen to the same joke from him repeatedly.
The first time I ever saw him was on a roast. It was, I think, the first one after Greg Giraldo died. He came on and everyone was like, "Who is this guy?" And he just slayed.
Yeah.
And I started following his stuff too, and I'm like, he's so brilliant with his words, and he has. There's so many things that you don't see coming. You're like, oh wow, he went there.
Yeah, he's the king of the left turn. You know, he's taking you down this path, and you're following him, and all of a sudden he just goes left, and you're like, oh, that's hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the beauty of good comedy. You know, if you can see the punchline coming, then what's the point of telling that joke? But you know, at the same time, if it catches you off guard and you know it just makes people feel a certain way, then that's the beauty of it all.
I did a show in Orange County, which is a little bit more conservative, and I'm not. And I was like, you know what? I want to see how far of the line I can kick it over. And we played this place called Old World Germany. And I was like, well, this is just built to make a joke. And I'm not religious, but I grew up Jewish. So my opening joke was, I gotta say, I was really nervous about playing Old World Germany because coming from a Jewish family, we didn't really have warm and fuzzy moments of Old World Germany. Like when I came in, someone was like, yeah, you look like you need a shower. You forgot one. And it's like, you just gotta kick the line and just see. And then I decided to go kind of joke about every religion, not in an offensive way, just to see how far I could take it.
Yeah. You know, I have you know, my ancestry goes back to the Middle East and from Syria. And so I have, you know, one of my opening lines is, you know, is a joke about that. And a couple months back, I was doing a Zoom show. And the weird thing about Zoom shows is, you know, if you've done them, the fact that you could see your audience. When you're normally up on stage, you have the bright lights coming and you can't see who's out there most of the time. So you don't really care what you're saying because you don't really have to, you don't worry about who's being judged or whatever the case might be because you can't see your audience. But when you're on Zoom, you can see everybody's faces. And there was a bunch of Middle Eastern people in the show, and I was like, oh shit, so did I just say this? And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I just went ahead and said it. You know, it went over fantastically. You know, and you know, later on in the show, I have a light, you know, offensive, you know, kind of sort of rape joke, and there was this 75-year-old, 80-year-old couple that were sitting and, you know, out there, and I was like, oh. Another time I kind of went on, you know, the switch off in my head. Should I say this joke or not? And I had them rolling on the floor laughing. So I'm like, okay, this is good.
You know, it is funny how we think in our head, wow, someone might be offended. I wrote this show called Rock This. It was a short, I mean. And in it, the premise was we're in a rock band, and my character, I crashed the van, and we need money for gigs. So we played an old age home. And I'm trying to seduce one of the women in there to get money out of her. And it turns out that she ends up uses me for sex and then pushes me out in a wheelchair. And during this, I was trying to cast, and the woman was probably in her mid 70s, late 70s. I'm like, I don't know if she's gonna find this fence. Right away, she's like, I want it. She's like, I can show up in like red silk pajamas, and she was sending me all these like dirty jokes. So I was just like, who would have thought that would have came out, or her mindset? But she loved it. So it is kind of funny, I guess, doing some shows. We think, man, we might really go over the line, and we're like, it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes, it's a good thing that, or, you think you're going to go over the line, you're going to go over the line, and you don't say things. Like there was the first time I did a show all year long was back in July. Thankfully, luckily, a brewery was able to open up and, do some small shows. And there was this, hardcore Republican in the show.
Oh boy.
And he was one of those, he wanted to heckle every joke. And, I'm the headliner, and I'm getting ready to go up. And just as I'm about to go up, he leaves. I was sad.
What was the worst heckle you ever had?
Whew. The worst heckle I ever had. The worst heckle I ever had wasn't even like a direct heckle. It was just, drunk frat guys, and they might have been, I don't know, but that's how they seemed. That just were talking loud and not even paying attention to the show, and just kind of taking over the show with their own conversation. Not like directly saying, talking shit or whatever. It was just their conversation just took everyone's mood away. And that was fun. Yeah.
It's fun to mix it up with the crowd.
It really is. A lot of people, just kind of ignore hecklers or, have a bunch of canned lines for hecklers. Me, I welcome it. I am like the king of the anti-trolls. You can troll me all day long or heckle me all day long, and you're going to go home feeling pretty bad about yourself.
That is fantastic. The funniest one, not funny but at the time, but there was a fight that broke out in the audience, and I'm on stage.
Whoa.
And so I just announced the fight. I mean, what else were you supposed to do?
That's epic. That's epic.
And the funny thing is, at the end of the fight, they're like, okay, the light was already on. I'm like, but I didn't. All right, well, I guess that's my time. I'm going in as an announcer.
So, I'm glad we got to laugh the last 15 minutes. I needed that. So tell me a little bit about yourself, or tell my audience, a little bit about yourself.
So I started off doing stand-up comedy back in Philadelphia, back in the 90s. And then I moved out to LA to be like everybody else and try to break into Hollywood. Still doing stand-up. And then I just really got into writing my own TV shows. And that was kind of like my passion. Trying to make TV shows and trying to do different shorts and just kind of develop from there. And recently, I just started to learn how to edit and learn how to make music this year. And I just been loving it. I've just been doing like a ton of sketches. I'm really active politically. And so what I've been doing is using comedy, to get into politics, because it's one thing to like write posts and berate people, but it's another thing to get them to kind of laugh, and people will respond better that way. I started off, it was in 15, 16, I was doing stuff with like doing events for Bernie Sanders. And we did like comedy and hip hop nights, and that was really fun and exciting. And if we just did a Bernie event, not a lot of people would come, but because we added the music element in, we sold out. And so that kind of got me going, like there's something with this. And so I made, starting last year, I did like a video called Diaper Don, which was, I played like Donald Trump as a kind of a baby Trump, and I did a rap. Then I did one about Mitch McConnell, and just kept kind of going from there. and then kind of getting into to other songs. And then now I started developing this new show called Truth Hurts, where I play this character, Lance Chalmers, who is a kind of like he plays a part of a right-wing like conspiracy theory guy, but really a liberal guy. And there's more money in conspiracy because people who believe conspiracy on the right will believe anything. So he just kind of nurtures this. And that's been really fun. I'll take a Donald Trump clip and try to defend it. And of course, defending it, it just becomes ridiculous. So that's been a fun passion. And then music, I started doing hip hop and then really getting into EDM. And that's kind of the fun side, where I'm just really trying to grow in music, just trying to put stuff out for myself, and then hopefully some people will like it. But it's been a blast. It's been really keeping me during quarantine just really busy.
Yeah. And I know you're a big political guy, and I've been looking forward to having this conversation since I found out you were coming on the show yesterday, which I'm thankful very much that whoever was supposed to be coming on tonight canceled, because I'm glad I got you instead. I don't even know who was supposed to come on yesterday, but I mean today. But I'm like, you know what? That's cool. When I got the email yesterday, I'm like, oh yes, thank God, because this is gonna be great. Because there's so many good joking conversations that are serious that we can have with this whole thing. Because you're one of the biggest Trump supporters out there, and I appreciate that about you.
Oh, I mean, the guy is who doesn't love the brilliance of Donald Trump? I mean, the way he speaks and stammers through conversation. I will say this, though. He has been fantastic for the bronzer industry.
Yeah. Yes, he has. He's also been great for the comedic industry as well, too.
It's amazing how many people, like especially former Daily Show people, have like hit shows, and I watch all of them.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially Samantha Bee. She's out there at the forefront right now. She's just hilarious. But
oh, she's fantastic.
Oh
yeah.
my God, yeah. But the political climate right now is just, you said it yourself, the fact that the right side, the hard right side, not the ones that go back and forth, the hard right side believes just about everything that they're told up front, smack them in the face, and they still just don't believe it. 20 years ago, Trump said, hey, if I ever run for president, I'm running as a Republican because they're idiots and they'll believe anything you say. And then 20 years later, 16, whatever it was, years later, he does it and nobody bats an eye. 4 years ago, what's his name from South Carolina said, we're setting a precedent now to where if a Supreme Court justice dies in the last year of office, use my words against me, but we'll not put another one in until after an election. And if Donald Trump has the same thing, use my words against me, but we will not do it. And then he went again and said it 2 years ago, and now today they're like, oh, let's put somebody in there as fast as we can.
Leningrad, I actually called his office today.
Was that Lindsey Graham? Yeah, it was Lindsey Graham, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that nobody is actually calling out on it, that they're hypocrites. It's funny. If you look at since 1970, the Republicans had like 120 people associated with their admins indicted. Democrats 3, none of Obama's.
Yeah.
So they push the law and order and more family values, but it's all lies. They're not. They're so corrupt and just dirty. What was it? Today, Rand Paul and Fauci got into it. And he's like going after Fauci. Fauci finally snapped back, but it's like he's trying to save people's lives, and Rand Paul's trying to get people sick. And it's ridiculous how people actually, like, I never thought we would be in this place where people politicize a mass, a little piece of fabric that could save lives. And they're like, nah, let's just forget that. It's better to get people sick and die to push Trump's stock market. Yeah,
or forget the mask for a second. People are politicizing, and the virus in general. the other day, Trump had a rally where he's like, go outside, look around. Nobody's getting sick. Nobody's really sick. It's only the elderly and people who have other underlying healthcare conditions. But yet, back in February, whenever that interview was, yeah, I've downplayed it, and I'm always going to downplay it. But yet, people aren't listening. It's like he just.
I've heard someone say that was taken out of context, the Woodward. And I'm like, but he said it himself. That was like the only time I think Trump was ever honest. That's why I made a Dr. Fauci rap. I played Dr. Fauci rapping against Trump.
Oh, I gotta hear that. I gotta hear that. That's pretty fucking funny.
It was a lot of fun to do him, play that character. But it's actually scary. I was talking about in 15, I'm like, Donald Trump, like a student of history, and you looked at these right-wing populists, and I'm like, he is that guy. He wants to be a dictator. People are like, nah, he's not. We have people in place that'll stop him. But Bill Maher was talking about he won't leave office, and no, people could see he does not want to leave office.
Yeah, and that, that right there is the scariest thing that he's said. He's not sure if he's going to accept the results of the election, and if he wins this time, he's going to negotiate a third term. It's like, dude, that is scary to think about.
It's so scary that no one's actually saying anything, and actually he's got his supporters thinking that's a good thing.
Yeah, they really, really do, and it's.
What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC.
Oh, okay. So what's it like over there? Are they more Biden, more Trump, or is it just split?
In my area where I live at, it's very, very weird. So I live in a little town called Leesburg. It's like I said, right outside of DC. But the majority of the people that live in my area are the Washington Redskins, Washington Nationals, senators and congressmen, and it's a little bit of everybody. So to see what my city's going through, they're pretty silent. You drive up and down the streets, in neighborhoods and stuff like that. Most places nowadays, have a Trump sign in the front yard, or a Biden sign in the front yard, or a senator sign in the front yard, or whatever the case might be. The only thing that I'm seeing, in any yard or anywhere is local community government signs. Anything that's federal, it's being completely ignored, and it's really strange, especially in this climate. Because 4 years ago, it was completely different, but now it's like we're the only thing that people are caring about is, okay, obviously, are we really going to have an effect on the federal election? We don't know, but we know for a fact we have an effect on our city and our county. So let's go ahead and focus on that. That's what at least it seems like here.
That's a good thing. I mean, to get to worry about local, but man, the national, especially if you're a Biden supporter, you got to get out early. You got to get the mail-in votes right away, because it looks like any votes after the election, he's going to try to say it doesn't count.
Yeah, I actually just got my my mail-in vote yesterday or the day before, and it's ready to go out. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's just go ahead and do that.
I saw you guys in Virginia had was it early voting?
Yeah. Thankfully, we have early voting. So, like I said, we just got our ballots in the mail the other day. So I'm looking forward to sending that back, because it should be interesting.
Totally. I actually started to ask to volunteer with Congressman Adam Schiff, and trying to do some phone banking for some other campaigns as well.
Really?
Yeah. I figured, I want to do everything that I can to help out. Yeah.
In this day and age, it's all we got to get the word out. It's but even political parties aside, go a vote. Just in general, just get out and vote. State your opinion, whether you believe your friend believes you're right or wrong, or I believe you're right or wrong, or Mark believes you're right or wrong. Get out and vote. Period. That's
a very important thing, and it's nice to actually see people. Before, a lot of celebrities or famous people didn't really want to get involved. They're worried about their brand. But nowadays, it's so nice that they know that people look up to them, and if they say it, more people will go out and vote. So it's nice to actually have like people's role models, people that look up to actually get people involved and trying to recruit them to vote.
Yeah, I mean, this year I don't think I've seen more excuse me, more celebrities and entertainers coming out in favor of voting. I think this is the biggest year I've ever seen it.
We need it, man. We need it. It's so stressful, and it's hard because I live in LA, so I kind of live in a liberal bubble, so we don't really get a feel of what it's like outside of this area. Like Larry David did an episode in Curb, like he's in LA and he had like a MAGA hat to get out of different events, and it's true. It's like that. If you wear a MAGA hat, you would be a pariah. We forget that in other parts of the country, it's the opposite.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're praised for wearing that MAGA hat.
Yeah, and that's the scariest part is we don't know what the voter turnout on the other side is because we think around here that it's going to be a landslide.
Yeah, because I mean, at the same time, you know, it shows in most of the polls, you know, he's showing double-digit down in most places. But if anything, that's going to inspire more Republicans to get out and vote for him because, oh, he's trailing. I got to go out and vote now. So now it's like, what's really going to happen in November?
Yeah, I'm thinking like how many more racists are on that side, basically. They're just trying to bring out.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest things is the race vote. Because there's a lot of people that support Biden, but there's also a lot of Democrats who don't like Biden, but they love Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of on that side. I think Joe's great. I think he's a smart guy, but Kamala Harris, I think, is phenomenal. And one of the things I love about her is her conviction, because she's one of those people, for lack of a better term, she's just a bitch. And if we can get a vice president or even a president into the White House that has that much oomph in her game to where she can make a Supreme Court justice cry, I think that might be the right person for the job.
Oh, 100%. Because so in our lifetime, it was we got Clinton and Gore and Biden were our vice presidents, and they weren't like aggressive people, but Kamala is the opposite. Like she will bring the pain, the funk, and just go after you. I cannot wait for the Harris-Pence debate.
Oh my god!
I just did a sketch with a friend where I played Pence and she played Harris, and oh my god, it was just so fun to like think of different topics and think how like Pence would stumble through it, and then how Harris would obliterate. But that's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. I completely forgot about that debate because that's going to be hilarious.
I think Pence will be like in the corner, fetal position, crying for mother by the end of that debate, just throwing the towel in.
I'm not listening.
No mas. The next week's going to be awesome with the Biden and Trump debate.
That is going to be interesting. I don't know how that's going to go. Especially with, one of the things that's bothered me this whole campaign, at least on the Republican side, kind of on the Democratic side, but not so much on the, Democratic side, but more on the Republican side, is all the trash talking. In previous, elections, there's been trash talking, obviously, every time. But it's been more about policy. But now, this time, it's all about just trashing. They're criminals. Oh, they're going to turn us into a socialist society. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to take away your jobs. They're going to take away your guns. They're going to do all... It's like, it's the most... shit talking I've ever heard in an election. So I'm really wondering what's going to happen next week with this.
It's all true. I am a communist, anarchist, throwing soup everywhere, cops. I mean, that's pretty much what I did before we got on and talked to the show. I'm sure you did too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I went outside and beat up a punched a police officer in the face. Gave, a shit ton of money to a homeless person because, socialism rules. And, and then went and, fought for, universal health care. That's what I did before I got on the show today.
Yeah, true. And also abolished the suburbs. I moved MS-13 into people's neighborhood and abolished guns and God.
Yeah, I actually went out and collected a bunch of guns today too, and melted them down and turned them into a nice big, big old trophy for my case.
I got to see that case. That's the funniest part is I've been in arguments with them, and every time I'm like, they just got like the playbook. You're a communist. You're going to do this and that. I'm like, I'm not doing any of those things. Like, where do you come up with this stuff? Give me some facts where this ever happened, and they have no facts, no reference. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, one of the things that bothers me, and I'm not the biggest fan of socialism, in its in the hardcore state, but most socialist countries have it pretty good in the fact that they don't have a homeless crisis. Right. They don't have massive amounts of people dying every year from no health care and stuff like that. I mean, that sounds pretty nice in some ways. So sorry if I'm wrong on that.
You're definitely wrong. I think that you should have to put up like your house to be able to get healthcare. I mean, that's America. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that we drive up and down major intersections and we see these homeless people begging for, cash because they can't go get a job or they lost their house because of, the coronavirus. I don't care if you lost your house because of the coronavirus and you can't get a job. That's not my fault.
Right, exactly. That's the way we are in this country. Yeah, I never understood that. Why not have healthcare? Why does it have to be tied in with your job? Wouldn't it be better if we didn't have to worry about that?
Well, not even that. One of the biggest arguments is, why should I pay for somebody else's healthcare? Well, the thing about it is if you're paying $400, $500 a month in premiums, okay, on top of what your company's paying in every month, and you don't go to the doctor all year long, where do you think that money goes? It goes to help your neighbor down the street get his heart surgery or the cancer patient or whatever else. It's already happening. But they're like, no, if it's the government, then they're going to use it in other ways. And it's privatized, for-profit healthcare. You don't think they're using your money anyway?
No, and if you went to the hospital, you're sick, you didn't have healthcare, they'll have to take care of you. You won't pay the bill, and then who's going to pay for it? The hospital's going to lose the money.
Yeah.
So why not have a better system? I was in Thailand a couple years ago. I hurt my ankle. I went in the hospital. I was in and out in 20 minutes. They wrapped it, and they gave me some pain medication, like that. We never asked about insurance because it was part of it, and that's a poor country.
Yeah, I mean, even most, not all, most Canadians that I know that have moved here maintain dual citizenship just so they can keep their health care.
That makes sense.
My brother's ex-wife, she maintained her dual citizenship. Her parents did. Not all the Canadians I know, but most of the Canadians I know that just have dual citizenship. Therefore, they can go back and, get major health care whenever they want.
I do have a problem with Canadians. It's ridiculous. Schitt's Creek won every single Emmy. You can't win an Emmy here in the U.S. Come on, Schitt's Creek.
I've now have been, this show's been on for 6 seasons or whatever it is. And it's like, now more people than ever have been like, hey, you know what? Let's watch this show. Even I was like, hey, I think I need to watch this show now.
Me too. It was always a show. I'm like, I'll get around to it. And I got distracted with other stuff. And I'm like, I got to do it. I got to get it. Because I'm such a fan of Eugene Levy.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. But what's even funnier than that is, when it comes down to comedy these days, some of the funniest shows that are coming out are Canadian shows. Like whether it's Schitt's Creek or a little unknown show on Hulu called Letterkenny.
Oh, what is that? I gotta see that.
Oh, bud, let me just tell you. So imagine, a Canadian redneck town that talks exactly like every Canadian you ever think they talk like. And it reminds you of everybody's, great grandfather or grandfather that lives on a farm. people our age talking Canadian like, and it is the most hilarious thing in the entire face of the planet because they do it on purpose, and it is hilarious.
The premise alone it got me going. Like that, I'm in. I gotta watch the show.
The first 5 minutes of Letterkenny, of season 1, episode 1, will just have you like, what is this train wreck? And then the more train wreck that happens, the more you're glued to your television set. And then before you know it, you're on season 6 going, what the hell is going on here? How did I end up watching this?
I just can imagine like the pitch meeting for that show. It's just so out there.
And I'm not even doing it justice for how awkward and weird this show is. But it's one of those things where if you're not watching it, go watch it.
I gotta check that out. I was such a fan of. Did you watch SCTV?
Yes.
Back in the day, yeah.
Like
that style of comedy is just so funny.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why the world's biggest comedy fest happens in Canada every year. It's because they're funny.
You don't think about it; they're very subtle.
No, you don't. Especially in Quebec or wherever, Montreal, wherever Montreal, wherever that is. Yeah, but it's like one of those. I don't know. It's just weird.
Have you ever been to it?
I have not, but that is I need to make it. I would love to make it on the standout year or the whatever they call it, the up and comer year, whatever. Yeah,
next year,
hopefully. But you know what? That even next year's up in the air as far as this stuff goes. Some of these music festivals and music tours I'm hearing 2022.
Wow. That's the hardest thing for me because in the summer, I mean, my favorite thing is to go listen to live music, and not having that during the summer is that was really tough.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things about May, the start of the summer is May is like festival month. Yes. They call it the world's loudest month, and they have festivals going on all over the place. And if you can't usually go to one, they're usually playing it live on the internet. This year we didn't get that, and you can't go back and watch it now, or you can't go and be wasted all day long, sleep in a tent, wake up, watch some more music, do the exact same thing over and over again for 3 or 4 days. But aside from that, there's when you go to a concert, whether it's a Broadway show, whether it's a comedy show, whether it's a music show, or whether it's just a one-man show where they talk about going through puberty, when you go through those types of situations, there's something unifying about it because everyone's there for that one purpose of laughter or enjoying music or whatever the case might be.
Last year, well, I live right by the Hollywood Bowl, which is one of the best, probably the best place I've ever been to. And last year, I got to see the Dead & Company, and I've never seen them before. And talk about an experience! It was electric to see that many people from all walks of life dressed in I've never seen so much tie-dye in my life. and normally at the bowl, you have certain sections and they have the security guys blocking off. People were just coming down from the top and just dancing everywhere. The security didn't care. Everyone was almost down by the stage, and it was such an exciting feeling to see these guys.
Yeah, and that's but that is, like I said, it's a unifying thing, especially when it comes to music. Because, I mean, a lot of that stuff happens all the time. And we here in Northern Virginia, we have something built the same way, similar to the Hollywood Bowl. And, where it's a couple different sections and then a yard area, whatever. And, whenever a concert goes on, they'll be like, okay, no, everyone's saying their sections, their seats for the openers. But as soon as the headliner goes on, it's a free-for-all, and they just don't care. As long as nobody's in danger, they just don't care. It's just because it's all fun and and it's all about the music.
Yeah. Needless to say, People of the Dead concert, nobody's sober.
No. Absolutely not. In the shows I go to, definitely nobody is sober. You're hard pressed to find a sober guy at a metal concert.
Yes. And why would you go sober to a concert anyway?
Hell yeah. Any concert. I don't care if it's Enya. Go. Well, if it's Enya, you got to go
Well,
drunk.
any
But
definitely better.
you have to be drunk.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it's like in Virginia, but here, I mean, weed is everywhere. Full on legal. So.
Here in Virginia, back in July, on July 1st, we decriminalized it, which is a step in the right direction, and we finally made it for medical purposes. So we gotta get a double whammy all at one time. So decriminalized and for medical purposes. So needless to say, it's not as prevalent as it should be, but it's legal right across the border over in DC. So everyone just kind of goes over there and buys it and comes back.
I mean, it's just you can get it delivered like in an hour, or go down to any shop, and the shops are like Apple stores.
Yeah,
displays. It's wild.
If it wasn't for that damn heat that you guys are still experiencing right now at 110 degrees, but I walk outside right now, it's like 55. That would be, I would be all about that life because I'm an entertainer as well. But you know what? I like the cold.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Oh my God. Love the cold. I mean, I'm originally from Ohio, and then I spent 25 years in Florida before I moved to Virginia. And the entire 25 years I was in Florida, I begged and begged and begged to get the hell out of there. I missed those winter storms. I missed the fall, leaves changing. I missed all that. I love it where I'm at right now.
Well, Florida is like next level heat. It's like you walked into a steam room all year long.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, you can wake up on Christmas Day and it'd be 100 degrees.
Yeah. I was there for a film festival, and it was May, and it was kind of cloudy, so it wasn't as brutally hot. And they were saying, wow, too bad it's not sun. I'm like, I'm glad it's not sunny because I would be like dry roasted. And it's too, like, you can't get away from it. You're just like sweating all day long.
Yeah, especially with that humidity. You walk outside and you're immediately covered in, water, but it ain't sweat. It's just the water in the air just clinging to you.
I have curly hair, and I just gave up on brushing. Just get it. I got a little mini fro now.
I have curly hair as well, bud. I feel you on that. Yeah, I mean, you're Jewish. I'm Middle Eastern. It's the same thing, and it just comes with the territory.
Yeah, you just embrace it, man. There it is.
Yeah, and that's actually part of the joke that I make is the only thing that I have in common with my my ancestors or my my cousins or uncles that still possibly live over there. I have no idea. Is my my pubic hair beard.
I will say this for Florida though, you just turn on the local news and you think that they're doing comedy because some of the craziest things you ever hear are coming out of Florida.
Absolutely. There's actually, when you're in Florida, we don't recognize the stuff that's really going on because we then even, centralize it even more, to where there's this little city, off the coast, right below Cocoa Beach, going down further towards like West Palm and Fort Pierce area. Is a little city called Palm Bay. And for us, or when I was in Florida, it wasn't Florida Man, it was Palm Bay Man. Because all the crazy stories that were even worse than the Florida Man stories came out of Palm Bay.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
they completely ignore all that kind of stuff. And everything else, whatever, that's just Florida. But then we want the crazy stuff, you go to Palm Bay. That's where you get the craziness.
Oh, wow. What was the craziest one you heard?
Whew. The craziest Palm Bay story. There were so many of them. I remember one. There was a guy woke up one morning, and I can't remember all the semantics around it, but he woke up to seeing a bear and an alligator fighting on his pool deck.
Wow.
Yeah, that was one that always kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, I want to know who won the fight.
I don't know, but I'm assuming it's probably the bear.
I would think so.
Yeah, because like Florida bears just don't give a shit. You know, they will go inside if you leave your garage door open, you will wake up in the morning and there will be a bear in your garage. And they don't even care. They'll just kind of wave to you. Hey, how's it going? I'm eating your trash. Is that cool? And then they just go ahead and leave.
Hot, man. That's why they wanted to go in the pool. It's too humid for them. They're like, I just want to get a dip, or I want to get inside, get the AC going.
The most common story that I remember from Florida when it comes to bears is waking up in the morning and seeing a bear just swimming in your pool.
See, there you go.
And you would see that at least once or twice a week, at least.
Well, I hope it waited 30 minutes after eating before it got in there.
Probably not. He probably went inside your garage, ate your trash, and then just jumped into the pool for a quick dip.
Like, whatever rules. I'm a bear. What are you going to do? I'm a lifeguard here.
I
saw one when I was down there. Someone was, they got the ingredients to make meth at a Walmart and went to the bathroom and started to make meth in the Walmart. I was like, that is Florida right there in a nutshell.
Yeah. I think there was another one, and this has been used as a meme and people have like urban legended it, but it was an actual thing to where this woman was stealing food and she was stuffing it up in her dress and stuff like that. But she ran out of room and she actually started inserting things into orifices in order to make extra room for things to fit.
You know, that makes sense. You know, you have the orifice. Why not? You know, you're hungry.
Exactly. I mean, there's nothing like a good old kielbasa up your snatch to walk out.
Yeah. Some yeasty bread, extra yeast.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. It's made there it's made to fit those things anyway, right?
I mean, but the funny thing is, in her mind, she's like, you know what? This is perfect. Like, she actually probably planned that out too.
Oh, absolutely. You know, when I was in Florida before, you know, I got serious into comedy and stuff like that, I was a store manager for Walmart. And I was with Walmart for about 12 years. And I could literally have 5 Netflix specials, hour long, and I still probably wouldn't tell half of the crazy stories that I saw.
I'm sure. I just like looking at those pictures of Walmart and see who comes in there, like what they're wearing, and I'm sure you must have had some. What was like the funniest one you've seen at Walmart?
The funniest thing I ever saw at a Walmart was it was during one of my overnight shifts, to where right by the store that I was at, about a couple miles down the road was one of the world's most popular gay clubs called the Parliament House. And frequently we would get a lot of people drunk in there or whatever. Well, this one night there was these 2 drag queens that came in. And they were just minding their own business, but they were, big black drag queens. Like, and now when I say big, I mean big. And there was these 2, gay guys that came in, and they were hitting on them. And at first it was very civil. It was like, oh, we're not into it, whatever. We're actually a couple, but they were all about, hey, let's just, let's party. And eventually it turned violent to where the drag queens were acting like, a typical drag queen, to where they lost their voice and became men real quick and started talking like this. And next thing I know, they're throwing hands.
Oh.
So these 2 drag queens in full dress and full makeup and full wig, everything, got into this fight with these two guys, and they were just going at it. I eventually pulled them and got them outside and called the cops, and the cops came. But by the time the cops got there, the fight was still ongoing, and the drag queens had pulled off their heels and started throwing them at the guys, and they were just using them. But then eventually one of them went into the car and got a tire iron and was chasing them around the parking lot with a tire iron.
Oh my God.
It was the most insane thing I ever saw in my life.
That is wow. Was it on, I guess on the store you had it on camera.
All the stuff, the whole thing was on camera. Like I watched it for weeks because once it got outside is when the hilarity started to ensue. Like I said, throwing the heels and the tire iron and the whole 9 yards was just epic.
That's something you definitely do not see every day. For
No,
sure.
you really don't. And yeah, I mean,
Let's party. No, let's fight. Bam. There's a keel in your head.
It was just the pure hilarity of it all was just beautiful. It was just one of the craziest things I ever saw in my life.
That is really funny. Do you use that in your bit?
No, but I need to.
I feel like that would be like a fun reenactment video that you could make.
Oh my God, that really would. Because I never even thought about putting that in my bit because I need to because that's a good one.
I feel like there's some stuff that just comes out of like just real life. I remember I was sleeping one time and I had to get up early to be on set, and there were these guys. There's an alley right behind me, and they were just really drunk and singing so loud. I'm like, "Hey guys, can you be quiet?" And they go, "Fuck you." I was like, okay, come on now, like it's late at night. So I said it again, and then the guys were like, "Why don't you come down here and fuck me then?" I was like, I kind of laughed a little bit. I'm like, you don't really expect to hear that. So in a bit that I use, I said I went down there and I got right up in his face and I fucked him. And now he comes to my room. That's something we do every night.
That's great.
Yeah, I got to put a little button on the reality, but I don't know if you get that too. I remember I was went on a date with this girl once, and I didn't hear anything for a while. She moved away. She came back. It's like, "Hey, how you doing? We should hang out. You should come over." And then I was like, "Great, that sounds fun." And then another call, like, "Yeah, make sure you get some of my managers coming over." And I was thinking, why would your manager be coming over? That's weird. And I found out she wanted me to come over to get involved in some sort of like pyramid marketing scheme. Oh. And I told my friend, I'm like, "Weren't you mad?" I'm like, "No, I got a bit out of that. This is gold. I couldn't come up with that on my own." Yeah. So I don't know if you have any of those things where like real life, you're like, I should be mad, but no, I got a whole new act out of this stuff.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those. Yeah, definitely had a couple of those. My entire first marriage, is the majority of my sets. Yeah, I learned a lot from that, and I learned a lot how to. I learned how to, take things in stride and tell jokes because of it. Because a lot of it would mess people up. Most of the stuff that I went through. So I have to joke about it. Otherwise, it might kill me.
Right. It's like therapeutic, right?
It really is.
How long are you married?
I've been married now 13 years. 10 years been together for 13. But like I said, my first marriage, man, that one almost killed me.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys meet?
Me and my wife actually met online on Match.com. Not a sponsor.
So you get your money back.
I should. I think that would be a great, I think I would be a great, spokesperson. I have the platform, I have the proof. Might as well. Match, where you at?
Yeah, you should get in there for that now.
Yeah, fuck Tinder. Let's do this. That'll be, Match.com. Fuck Tinder. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. We got it down. We'll find somebody that you think's gonna match, and it'll be a rough day for you.
Yeah, our first date was at a TGI Fridays, and we never looked back.
Oh, perfect. Unlimited apps. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong with that. I mean, where else are you going to find, fried green beans,
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect.
Exactly. You take your, something quasi-healthy and you fry it and dip it in ranch dressing and, get something completely unhealthy. Isn't that the whole idea behind fucking appetizers?
Exactly. I like how we can just order up everything. Like, oh, I'm lonely, I got nothing going on. Psh, let me go on. Let me order up a date, a ride, and food. Yeah, all in one.
Exactly. Nowadays,
They should just combine all the apps.
Well, I was just getting ready to say, nowadays you never fucking know. Your Uber Eats driver could be your fucking Tinder date. You never fucking know. They could just show up and be like, hey, I got your food and your blowjob. Here we go.
And if it doesn't work out, boom, you just get out and there you go. Go get the next
Go
ride.
find another one. Exactly.
I actually wanted to do a dating show like that where it's kind of like the Uber pool of dating. Like you get in and if you guys match, you continue on, maybe go to date. If not, date gets out and you pick somebody else on.
They already have that one now. It's called the Bang Bus. I think that's a porno.
They went to the next level. Perfect.
That's that rule 23. If you can dream it, there's a porno about it.
That's true. That is probably that's the great American art form right there.
You know what?
Well, that's what happened in COVID, right? Like the Pornhub, they just went up. I don't think they even had, like, for a while they didn't even have enough bandwidth for the amount of people who got on.
No, and there's even COVID porn where people are in fucking radiation suits banging it out.
No way, are you serious?
I am dead serious.
Oh my god.
The quarantine hazmat suits.
You want safe sex? There you go. It's as safe as can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's fantastic. Again, if you can dream it, that's the American dream right there.
It is. I know. I feel like anything that we say, there's probably something already out there for that in that world.
Unfortunately, I don't know if that's a fortunate or unfortunate thing.
So when I first moved out here, I was just doing some extra work, and I met someone like, "Hey, do you want to be in this movie?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And it was supposed to be some lines, and it actually was in an adult film. I wasn't actually doing the porn. I was kind of doing a little bit of like comic relief in it.
Okay.
And it was so funny to be on those sets. I was supposed to be doing like this simulated sex scene, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. Hey, can I just throw in some like different sound effects? So I was doing like Beavis and Butthead and sounds and dog barking, and they were like, dude, that's perfect. They loved it. And they were like, what do you want your character to be? I'm like, Johnny Applesack. I never really thought much about it. I actually asked for a script that I actually would call people up in the audience and have them read part of the film. So that was kind of fun. And then years later, I didn't even think about it, and it ended up winning an AVN.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. Tied into that movie.
The acting website that I use is one of the most popular ones. I'm not going to mention them on air, but if you're an actor, you probably know the biggest one out, or one of the biggest ones out there. But I was on there the other day, applying for different roles, whatever else, and I'm pretty sure I applied for a porn because the lead role said 25 to 34, must be muscular and be very well endowed, as it is very important to the script. And I'm like, so I'm not going to be the lead, but damn it, I can be his best friend.
Yeah.
The
funniest parts are like, wow, that was some good acting, and I'm like, not really. Compared to what's going on here, yes. There we go. Thank you. Take that.
Yeah. So needless to say, I have auditioned for porno.
Perfect.
I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but hey, you know what? At least I tried.
Yeah, at least you tried. You put yourself out there, and that's what counts.
If I'm gonna hang out anywhere, I would love to hang out on a porno set.
It was so funny. It was one, we're at a bowling alley, and another one, and we turn around and you're like, oh, there's two naked people on the ball rack right there. That's interesting. You don't see that at a normal bowling alley.
No. Well, in Florida you do.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. I forgot about Florida.
Yeah, I mean, there are naked people everywhere. Most of the time they're drunk and cracked out, but damn it, if I didn't see some titties back in my day.
And you were what was the name of the town again?
Palm Bay. I didn't
Bay,
live
okay.
there. I didn't live there. I didn't want to even go there. But you know,
What town did you live in?
I was actually right outside of Orlando, so I was actually
Okay.
it's pretty central.
I went the festival I was at was Vero Beach.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever been there.
Yeah, it's further south. Yeah.
Yeah, a whole different world in that one little sliver.
Yeah, actually, Vero Beach is right below Palm Bay. So you weren't too far from the epicenter of craziness in Florida.
Perfect. Well, I got to, like I said, I got to see it on the news, so I got my little fill of that.
Just open up you just go to Google every day and type in Florida man, and something, 10 news stories from that day are going to pop up every damn day. It's just.
There was someone who was like doing drive-bys on a bike.
Why does that? I've seen drive-bys on skateboards.
That's eventually you're gonna get caught. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Drive-by on go-kart. That's one I haven't seen yet, and I would love to see.
That is the ultimate Florida. I had grandparents down there like so many other people, and I never knew that the early bird special. I thought that was like a joke, but it was real. Like we went to dinner at like 4:30. I was like, why are we going? That's happy hour. That's not dinner.
Exactly.
That's packed.
Yeah, but the thing about it is with Florida, at least where I was at, it was all corporate restaurants, and no matter what time of day you went, it was always packed. And it was just the most ridiculous thing. You were almost forced to go to early bird special just to make sure you could eat dinner before 9 o'clock at night every night.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I do not miss it. I do not miss it at all.
No, especially if you like the cold. Are you into like snowboarding or skiing?
No, but I would love to. I have not done that yet, but that is my goal. Within the next year or two, I would love to go break my neck skiing. That's
Definitely.
my goal.
Just pad yourself up and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I've already broken my neck twice in my lifetime, so might as well go for the third. Might as well.
How did you go twice?
So the first time was a car accident. The second time, I sneezed.
What kind of? I mean, wow, that's some serious sneeze.
It's not as funny when I explained it, but the fact that I broke my neck from a sneeze is hilarious. But the truth of it is, when the first time I did it, they put in some mechanics in my neck and it didn't heal right. Fast forward 5 years later, one violent sneeze just completely dislodged all the mechanics, and they had to go in there and actually remove 2 of my vertebrae.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I actually am missing my C5 and my C6 vertebrae, and I actually have a cage connecting, my C4 to my C7 to make sure that my neck is, together.
I actually ruptured my C5, C6 last year, and that was no joke.
It's not.
No, it was like pain up. I could barely walk. I couldn't even hold like a glass.
My left arm still to this day is messed up. I get pins and needles constantly. My neck's supposed to be fixed, and I get headaches still all the time. If I sleep in a certain, I have to have a freaking old man contoured neck pillow in order to be able to sleep properly. And
you're like a Craftmatic bed commercial, basically.
Oh my god, dude! If I can get a Craftmatic bed, that would be my life's dream. One of those beds that lift up and legs and oh man.
That's it. You're living large at that point. You're never leaving your bed. Do your podcast from the bed.
Oh my, yesterday it was cold as shit. It was like in the 40s all day yesterday, and I'm laying in bed and typical guy style in gray sweatpants and a hoodie. Underneath 2 blankets watching Family Guy. And I'm like, oh shit, it's 6 o'clock. I got to go downstairs. I got to, do the artwork for the overlays, and I got to get ready to do my show. And I look over and I'm like, oh, wait a second. My computer's in my bed. I can just do the overlays now. So I rolled over and did the overlays, whatever. But then I was like, oh shit, the computer's in my bed. I can just do it from right here. But I'm like, I don't have my good camera and my lighting. I was like, Might as well. I haven't left the bed all day. Might as well do something productive.
Right. But the option is there.
Yeah, I mean, especially in my commute to work every day. It's a tough commute. I mean, walking down 2 flights of stairs.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. It's tough.
Yeah,
you know,
there might be something left on the stair. You might slip. That's
exactly. My 10-year-old almost broke my neck today. Little shit was taken out the trash, and there was something watery in the damn trash. And all up and down the stairs, I'm leaving the house to go buy bacon for dinner, and I almost fucking busted ass on the stairs. And she walks around the corner going, "What happened?" And I go, "There's water from the trash." And she goes, "Yeah, I didn't take out the trash. That was you." She tried to blame it on me. I'm like, "I didn't take out the trash." She goes, "Wasn't me," and she walked away.
Wow, very
yeah, it was very Trumpian. I was offended in ways that I can't even describe.
Wow, that was a pretty bold-faced lie. And then you're thinking, did I take out the? No, I didn't take out the trash. He took out the trash.
But I mean, she was like, even though I didn't do it, I'll go get a towel and clean it up. It's like, what an ass. That's the problem with children today. If their parents are funny and comedic, they pick up on everything that they do and then they use it against them.
I was a substitute teacher for a number of years, and man, it was ridiculous to hear some of the lies and some of the nonsense that the kids would come up with. And I was a wise ass when I was a kid, so I knew all the tricks. So I knew what was real and what wasn't. I actually told a kid, that was an awful. You were the worst lie. Actually, you're gonna get in more trouble for giving me a bad lie. Your game was way off.
Yeah.
And they all think they can get away with it, but they're like, no, we were that way.
Yeah, my wife is a second grade teacher, and up here they're doing everything's virtual school right now, and they're doing everything on Google Meets, and this one kid figured out how to upload a background, to where it's just a picture of him, intently staring at the screen. where she would, and this kid's in second grade, and to where my wife wouldn't realize that he wasn't really there, and he was actually. But the thing about it is, he left his microphone on. You can hear him snoring in the background.
Oh man! I give the kid a little bit of respect for attempting that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's genius.
I don't think at second grade. That's wow. That's I don't think I would have went that far.
Yeah, but I mean, if he was a little bit smarter, he wouldn't have uploaded a JPEG of just a still image going like this the entire time. No, upload a GIF to where it will at least rotate and move.
Yeah,
not giving you any hints or anything,
Yeah, or just get a couple different sayings in there.
Yeah, just have it move, animate it. Animate your picture a little bit to where you kind of move your eyes a little bit. But no, he just took a nap.
How is that being a virtual teacher now?
It's interesting, because I work from home all day. My wife works from home all day. My daughter does her school from all day. So we're always together. Luckily, my wife has her office. I have mine. And my daughter has her bedroom where she just kind of chills out and just, walk in and she's like this, playing on the computer, listening to whatever. It's interesting. Some of the teacher, like my daughter's teacher, she's in 5th grade, seems to have it pretty under control, and the kids are actually pretty good. But my wife's, second grade, is kind of difficult. So, she's kind of have it tough, but I've listened in or I've gone in there and kind of my wife has a giant bean bag and I'll just go in there just to listen. And it's funny as hell, but she does a damn good job of keeping those kids in line, even though they're scattered all over the city.
That's got to be so hard for them. And in LA, they canceled Halloween, no trick-or-treating.
Yeah, the CDC came out today and recommended nobody go trick-or-treating, to just, do pumpkin carving or movie watching at your house. Don't go door to door.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like the safest thing, just going door to door, possibly spreading COVID.
No, I have a better idea though. Go buy your mask. Go get trick or treated, and then what we do is we socially distance all the kids 6 feet apart, and then all the parents go inside their home, with, the T-shirt guns. Fill up with the candy and just start shooting candy into the air and just pray that it lands inside of a bag.
I like it. You can have like different contests too, like a 3-point contest.
Yeah, and you can also, whoever gives the kid the biggest black eye, wins a prize too. That could be one of the things.
I like it. This is. I think this is a good plan. That's way better than the one family who would just leave like a whole thing of candy and said, "Please take one."
Yeah. Now this year, instead of giving out 2 bags of candy to the entire neighborhood, now I'm just gonna buy one bag of candy and just say, give it to my daughter and say, "There you go."
That's it. I couldn't imagine that. Like as a kid, Halloween was like the greatest day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now as an adult, I love it even more. But
oh, I do too. I mean, my wife is fanatical about it. She's like a huge, Halloween is her favorite holiday of the year. She makes me do crazy stuff outside. She's a big fan of Nightmare Before Christmas. And in the Nightmare Before Christmas, there's this tree that has, skeletons hanging from it, and it talks and has arms and stuff like that. And we have a tree that looks very similar to that tree. So every year, she makes me go put a wooden face on this tree with arms and skeletons hanging from the trees and stuff like that. We have a big Jack Skellington blow-up doll, and this year is like, is it even worth it?
I think maybe it is. Just because it'll bring like a lot of happiness to the neighborhood.
Possibly, yeah. Because I mean, it is one of those things where we need to bring some type of sense of normalcy.
We had the biggest Halloween parade in where I live in the West Hollywood area, and we'd get sometimes like 500,000 to 1 million people if it's on the weekend.
Really?
Yeah, always safe, and they close down the streets, and everyone just goes back and forth, and then every couple blocks there's different music stages going on, and you should go every year, and it's going to seem so odd now not to have that.
Yeah, I mean, especially because this year with Halloween being on a Saturday, that's pretty epic.
Oh,
that could have been awesome.
Oh, I know. Maybe we'll do a virtual.
Everything's virtual these days.
Did you see the virtual Emmys?
No. Oh, I watched parts of it, but I didn't watch all of it.
The fun part is like watching or seeing what people's living rooms are like of the celebrities. Yeah. I'll tell you what was an awesome virtual was they did a reading of Fast Times.
Dane Cook put it together.
Yes.
And had Brad Pitt and a whole bunch, Julia Roberts and even
Shia LaBeouf, who
stole it. Yeah. Shia LaBeouf, man, he is a character.
He is. He was literally smoking out to play McAuliffe.
Really?
Yeah.
I interviewed he just had a new movie come out not too long ago called The Tax Collector. And one of the girls in there, her name is Cheyenne Hernandez. And I interviewed her not too long ago. And, just joking around, I tried to, try to, joke on, in a funny, finger pointing way, messing with Shia LaBeouf. And she got all defensive, right away. He's my brother. We're not going to joke about him. I go, I know it's funny, but you know what? Let's just leave it alone. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, she was actually being funny about it, but but she could tell, she was like, I'm not even going to go there. She goes, what jokes haven't been told about him already? Let's just go on to something else.
That's really funny.
Yeah, but she was cool as shit. It was her first acting role, and she said,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he took to her flies to shit. I mean, he was all about helping her, and some of the stories, what's funny about Shia LaBeouf is we all hear all the negative, but I got to hear a lot of positive about him from her. So I thought that was kind of cool because he has this aura about him that's just nothing but negativity. But yeah.
But he's an interesting guy, and he does some really, really good humanitarian things as well. So
he does. He really does. He's a cool dude. I would love to have him on my show. I would love to jam with him for an hour.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he would definitely have some interesting things. The first time I saw him, it was the what was that? Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. They did a show about green lighting. I think was it called Green Light?
Yeah.
And he was the first season on there, and that's the first time I saw him. I'm like, wow, this guy's really good.
I remember watching him back in the day on Disney Channel on Even Stevens.
Oh wow, okay. Wow,
Yeah.
I from Disney Channel.
Yeah, he was a Disney kid. But I mean, he just continued and furthered that stereotype that all the Disney kids go on to commit craziness, you know. The only one that hasn't done anything crazy is Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. No one would have thought that.
Well, no, actually, I take that back. He did do something crazy. Britney Spears.
Yes, good point. But that's before, like, everyone, that's before, like, Britney, like, she was kind of the normal one. She didn't really go off the deep end yet.
Yeah, she did. She shaved her head and went batshit crazy for a while.
Oh, was that like during their dating or after?
No, it was just after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
he
it was
got her before that. Yeah.
Yeah, he got her before the craziness, but I think it was building slowly.
That was it.
He saw the writing on the wall.
And he's like, forget it. I'm Justin Timberlake. I don't need this.
Hell yeah, he's the greatest entertainer of our generation. That guy's amazing.
Yeah, there's not much that he can't do. So it's funny. I did this hidden camera show, and the premise was, they have a kid, and he's saying your parents' life is so easy, and Joey Fatone was the producer of it. And I got to talk to him a little bit. I'm like, you know, we're fairly similar in ages, but I'm pretty sure your time in the 90s and my time was a lot different. And he's like, dude, everything you thought about what happened during NSYNC happened, and then some. I was like, oh my goodness. I wish for like a month I could have lived your life back then.
I know, right? Now that's why, you know, these days he runs a hot dog cart out of the Florida Mall in Orlando.
Oh, that's so funny. But he is on the Impractical Jokers. I don't know if you ever saw that show.
I did. They actually did it. They shot an episode of them at his hot dog cart.
Yes, that was hilarious.
Yeah. I've eaten there. Hot dogs are actually pretty damn good. He actually started that hot dog place as a food truck. And then eventually moved it and did a bunch of, but it's a popular place. I mean, it's good stuff. But I love the Impractical Jokers. I love how good friends he is with them.
Yeah, for me, I was like, I would love to be on that show.
Oh my God.
Because I always thought, I'm probably the same as you. I always thought about like, wow, it was so much fun to do different jokes and just to see how far we can take it.
Yeah. I mean, me and my daughter, you know, enjoy doing crazy stuff when we go into grocery stores and stuff like that. Like, you know, her and I both have fart machines on our phone, and we'll kind of walk up and down the aisles and just kind of press it and walk away and, you know, scurry, and, you know, she'll even grab her butt and press it and be like, oh. It's like, oh, you gotta go take a poo? She goes, yes.
That's really fun. We would joke around before we get on the elevator and just say something like, hey, you're gonna get tested? You probably should. I mean, you know, STDs are no joke. You can see people hitting that button as fast as they can just to get off, even if it's on the floor.
Yeah, I love pushing that boundary, that border. I mean, people, like I said before, I love, you know, doing that offensive stuff on stage, to give people that, you know, that look where they give me like, should I laugh or should I not laugh?
But it's how you say it. If you say it like in a certain way, people are laughing with you at the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I learned a long time ago. And I had the privilege of learning it in a different craft, was stage control, you know, crowd control. Before I became a stand-up, I was a professional wrestler, and I was a professional wrestler for about 12 years. I just did independent stuff, you know, throughout the Southeast. But, you know, learning, you know, how to control a crowd with your words and your actions was a tough thing to learn. But, you know, once after I broke my neck and I couldn't wrestle anymore, and I decided, you know, comedy is what I wanted to do, because it was something I always wanted to do anyway. a lot of that translated over, and I didn't have the stage fright. I could control a crowd. If I did get heckled, I knew exactly how to react. And, that's one thing that I'm very, very grateful for, is that's learning that's crowd control aspect of things.
Oh yeah, and if somebody heckles back, you can do like a flying elbow off the table.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it on, bud.
What was your wrestling name?
Honestly, I just took a regular name and just made it my own. It was just Lucas Taylor, nothing crazy.
Did you have an out entrance?
I was very demonic, metalheadish, devil worshipping type guy. Yeah. I referred to the devil as my dad a lot. It was kind of cool.
Was it hard though to learn to get the moves down and to kind of get the art form of it?
Very much so, because while it's scripted and the finish is predetermined, it's not fake. Most people punch for real, and when you get slammed on top of on top of plywood, it hurts. When you get hit with a chair, it hurts. When you go through a table, it hurts. The fall, the bump, whatever you want to, is what we call it, a bump. It hurts, no matter what. And at the end of the day, people are hurting because of it. But at the same time, it's a dance, it's a ballet. And you have to really know what you're doing. You have to really be able to read your opponent. And, the secret of the talk between, the two of them in the ring is very eloquent. And it's not the easiest craft to learn.
Who determines it? Who's gonna win?
The booker.
Okay.
The
Do they
promoter.
say like, okay, we need like 15 minutes, or it's like?
So pretty much, there's other podcasts out there that leak this kind of stuff. So I'm not letting anything out of the bag. You'll go into when you get booked, you'll go to the match, and they'll usually be on a chalkboard or a whiteboard or just something printed out, and it'll say this person's going we call it over or under. So anyone who's going over is winning. Anyone who's going under is losing. So this person's going over, you guys got 15 minutes. This person's going over, you got 20 minutes. This person's going over, you got 10 minutes. And it'll tell you. So then you can kind of work out with your opponent how long you guys are going to go, what you're going to do, and how you're going to be able to fit everything you want to do in that 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
It really is, because, it's done pretty much sometimes on the fly. And it's sometimes, the opponent will be like, no, I don't want to work anything out with you beforehand. Let's just go in the ring and call everything in the ring. Let's just go ahead and just fly by the seat of our pants and listen to the crowd and just do whatever we want to do based off what the crowd's telling us to do. And those are some of the best ones too, where everything's just strictly improv. Exactly. So I learned a lot because of that. I learned improv. I learned crowd control. I learned how to talk properly, with a mic and make sure I can accentuate things. There's a lot of people that down on that industry, but look at people like John Cena and The Rock, some of the biggest people in Hollywood right now that came out of that business, Look at it's just one of those things where it is a lost art that people just don't give the just desserts to it anymore.
When I was a kid, it was huge. It was like the Hulk and Rodney, and then they had like an album out where they were all singing and rapping, and it was like the WrestleMania in the early years was like the event.
Yeah, it still is.
The Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the Super Bowl of sports entertainment for a reason, and it's still massive. When people bid for that, cities bid for that just as hard as they bid for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would say one of the greatest actor wrestlers in a movie has to be Andre the Giant.
As Fezzi?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
That was that's my wife's favorite movie of all time. I'm not a big fan of it because I think it's kind of campy, but he did a great job with that. especially he was at the last leg of his career. He was pretty much dying that entire movie. And
he couldn't even hold the woman. Like her back was so messed up.
Yeah. There's a whole story to that. There's a documentary on HBO about it. about him, and they talk a lot about that in the documentary. And it was bad. I mean, it was nothing for him to drink 80 beers in one sitting and barely be drunk.
Well, what was he, like almost 400 pounds?
No, he was 550, almost 600 pounds.
600 pounds? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. His hands were so big they could literally wrap around a human head.
Did anybody ever pick him up in the ring and like body slam him?
Hulk Hogan did. A couple other people did too, but Hulk Hogan did.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think if I was running full speed, I would bounce off and I wouldn't get up for like 2 weeks.
Probably not. But yeah, that was a big dude, and he was. And I've heard nothing but good things about him too. He was just like, I heard, like a gentle giant, just a big cuddly teddy bear. But if you pissed him off, he was like the last person on. He was the first person you would want to love, and the last person you would want to hate.
No, why would I piss him off? He's giant.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like rule. That's like, I don't know, it's rule 1, but it's up there. It's high up in the rules.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think rule 1 would be don't vote for Trump. Rule number 2, don't piss off,
A giant.
the Giants.
Yeah. I'm with you. I like these rules. I'm hard pressed with those rules.
Yeah, I don't make the rules, but I'll follow them.
That's definitely one. That's definitely one to follow.
Oh wait, no, I'll take that back. No, I think that about sums it up.
Would you have a favorite movie?
My favorite movie actually came out last year, and that was Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
So for me, I'm a comic book nerd, obviously. And I picked up my first comic book when I was 8 years old because I was the nerdy kid. I was always being the one being picked up, bullied, beat up on, and just, it was not a pleasant childhood. And I picked up my first Spider-Man comic when I was 8 years old, and at 38 years old last year when that movie came out, it was 30 years of my life finally coming on screen, seeing things that I never thought I would ever see in a movie come to fruition. And like the last 30 minutes of that movie, I bawled like a 5-year-old baby. I mean, it was just epic. I've watched that movie 30 times since it came out on digital, and I bought it. And it still gives me the willies every time I watch it.
All right, I gotta watch it. I haven't seen any of the Avengers, so.
Oh my God, it's one of those things where, again, to watch every comic book character that they've had up to this point on the screen at the exact same time, just doing some amazing stuff. It was just fantastic.
Would you have a favorite out of those?
Of the movies?
Of the Avengers.
Well, I mean, as far as like the characters itself?
Yeah.
I mean, mine is always going to be Spider-Man.
Okay.
I'm a Peter Parker nerd to the day I die. Because that was me. I mean, that was always me. The tech geek, the nerd that everyone picked on, but always had this, hidden ability to beat your ass, but never did, Because I was a martial artist. I was a wrestler. I was, always that kid that just never fought back because, I didn't want the repercussions to come along with it. But, I got beat up and I was a nerd. And so I felt very connected to that character.
Yeah, I like the first Peter Parker movie with Tobey.
Tobey was great. However, Tom Holland, the new one, he's good too. He blows Tobey Maguire out of the water.
I like the one in between too. I thought he was good.
Andrew Garfield?
Yeah. You know, like.
No.
I thought
he was the worst. He was the absolute worst.
I thought he was like a little wise ass. I guess that's why I kind of liked it, but.
Well, and that's the thing. So here's where it kind of goes. So Tobey Maguire was strictly nerd. He had very little wise assiness to him. It was very nerdy, However, with Andrew Garfield, he was complete opposite. He was always the smart ass. And didn't have very little nerdiness about him. So if you put those two together, then it was like the perfect Spider-Man. And that's what you get with Tom Holland.
I have to check it out. I think my favorite of all the comic book movies has got to be the Nolan Batmans.
Yes, those right there were fantastic. Especially Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. No better Joker in the world than that right there.
No, and they should stop putting Joker in the movies after. Well, the Joker movie was good, but I mean, in the reboot that they're doing again, just get another character.
Yeah, because especially with what good old Jared Leto did with the character.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Oh my God, it was so bad.
I heard so many bad things. I couldn't go down that road.
Jared Leto's a fantastic human being, a fantastic actor, fantastic musician. But that role, he murdered it twice.
Yikes. No, dude. You know what's fun, man? I have this green screen here, and so I do a lot of my bits with that. And my favorite movie is The Godfather. So just for fun, I kind of was able to put myself into certain scenes of the movie, and I played one where there was. You saw The Godfather?
Of course, yes.
Okay, cool. So one of the scenes is they're meeting Sollozzo, and it's all the Corleones, and they're talking. So I took out Sollozzo, and I played the part of a CBD influencer trying to pitch to the Corleones to see if they'll brand it. And I'm saying, don't worry about the marketing. I got this. This guy Bryce, and it was just so fun to go back in the movies, and that may be something that you can do. Put yourself in the movie now.
Oh, that's fine. That's actually pretty good. And I got my green screen set up over there, so I might as well start doing that too.
Do you do that too? Do you just do like a bunch of different bits? And
I do, but I don't publish a lot of them. Okay. A lot of them are just for me, just to laugh at. I have so many videos, so many things, bits, just funny shit that I've put, together that I have yet to release. And it's like, do I or don't I?
Do it. I did one, like, the beauty of, like you do, like, you're able to put it up so quickly. Like, during the RNC, I played the part, I did, like, Eric Trump. And I kind of just had him go off the rails. I just said, well, him like Donnie was on coke. Let's just play with that and just see where we can go.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing, like how you can do on the green screen and just have everything that makes it look like high budget.
Yeah, it really does. Of the RNC, you know who my favorite speaker of the RNC was?
Guilfoyle?
No. The beautiful blonde daughter of Trump, Tiffany.
Oh.
The forgotten Trump.
Yes, the redheaded stepchild.
Yes. She said some stuff that really had me rolling because it was the epitome of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
She was talking about if you believe in freedom of religion and unity in America and blah, 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 then you're already a Trump supporter. And I'm like, okay, yeah, unless you're Muslim.
Right. Yeah, that's, Muslim, Puerto Rican.
Yeah, or equality across the country, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, unless you're LGBTQ because, back in June, while we were celebrating, Pride Month, he was sitting there rolling back, medical protections for, LGBTQ people. But, that's all good, So I'm like, they're going, whatever.
Yeah, or what was it? Was Ivanka was saying, hey, you know what? It's time to look for a new job, Or Tiffany, maybe that was it. Tiffany too was also saying that it's like, I'm having a hard time finding a job. No, you're not. You have no hard time finding a job.
Hell no. All she's got to do is call her sister and be like, hey, I need a job.
Yeah, what shop that I can manage?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it is. I read the Michael Cohen book, and that was wow. Did you read that?
No, I did not.
It was crazy because all the other tell-all books, like we know Trump's a bad person, he doesn't listen to anything, but to hear somebody lift the curtain off and just say what Trump is really like, that was eye-opening, so scary as well. just heartless, ruthless, and dumb.
Yeah, I mean, everything about, and it's it's not even so much the Republican Party right now; it's the Trump and the Trump supporters. And that's what because I know a lot of Republicans that are kind of like, I don't want to deal with it. So it's not even so much that it's just the troll and his entire family.
No, that's a really good point, and I say that all the time because Trump doesn't believe the stuff that he says. He's only doing it to make money and to con people. But it's the supporters of the one who are voting against all their self-interest, which I definitely don't understand why they would get involved with that.
Yeah, because one of their biggest arguments for Trump is the economy. He's the one that could help, turn the economy around and stuff like that. And he's done great things for the economy. Well, the thing about it is, that's false, number one. He's done great things for the stock market, but the only reason why the stock market thrived is because he wanted it to, because he wanted to make sure he padded his pocketbook and padded his companies. Therefore, when he got out of office, he had a shit ton of money. But the economy didn't thrive. The stock market did. And, that's a great argument. But he did it for his own personal gain. It has nothing to do with you.
Right, and people don't realize, like, the national debt balloon. So people are doing fine. Like, yeah, if I max all my credit cards, I'm great. I got everything here. But eventually, I got to pay those bills.
Yep.
And we're going to have to pay the bills, and he's going to be long gone.
Yeah, we're in a wacky world where most Democrats are praying for George W. to come back.
I know. That's the craziest thing. Everyone thought there's no way we'll get a worse president than him. And then Trump's like, hold my Adderall.
Oh, man. I would give anything to go back to the George W. days at this point in time.
Me too.
Because he didn't do anything too crazy. He just, bombed a couple countries. But, he was at least funny up on stage. And, he didn't lie. He just couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Right. He would just he would just have like these brain farts and just ramble on. And you're like, all right, well, he's kind of. I don't think he wants to destroy our country.
At least he's honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would do. That's true. I definitely long for those days. then I'm thinking, what happened when someone if that's the bar now is down here? How much worse can it get?
I think that bar's been lowered. I think that bar's been lowered, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you can go really any lower than that bar.
But we said that 16 years ago with George W.
Yeah. I need pretty soon. I just need open bar all day to be able to get through this.
Yeah, I think I just need, just to buy a lifetime subscription to some beer company, just bring me a 6-pack every day to my front door. That's the only way I'm gonna be able to survive.
Do you feel like every day, I feel like I'm aging a year under Trump?
Yeah, absolutely. Because especially, prior to me doing this show, and me doing comedy more, I kind of stayed out of the whole politics thing. I didn't want to get involved because it was just so bass-ackwards. But now it's like I'm forced to talk about it. I'm forced to look at it. And it's like, I don't know how many more jokes I can make. I think I'm starting to run out of material. But then just as I say that, he says something else and does something else. It's like, oh, thank you.
That is my favorite thing. It's just the insanity of it. People getting on planes, who are these anarchists. I'm like, well, why would a person go through TSA, go through the trouble, have themselves documented, up on a plane, and then get soup cans and start launching them at people? Yeah. And then people believing that, and I'm like, what? Okay. You can't tell any jokes to anything bordering against Trump to a Trump supporter. Then it just triggered them off.
Yeah, they know no in between. They know no middle ground.
Yeah, they definitely do not have any joke. And my favorite thing is I'm a sports guy. I'm into football, basketball, and some of the Trumpsters were like, "I'm not going to watch because they're not singing the national anthem." I'm like, "Does anybody? Do you say the national anthem at your house? Do you get up during the football game and sing, or every morning?" Like, no, you don't. You're drinking beers probably already. Nobody cares, and nobody cares if you don't watch the game.
Yeah. You know, and one of the things that I love about that right there is, you know, the people who talk shit about it, you know, are not standing for the pledge or whatever else. You know, that's blasphemy and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, well, the Supreme Court ruled a long time ago that they're allowed to do that. So why are you talking shit about, you know, something that our country has deemed appropriate?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or if you don't want anybody to talk about it, maybe let's reform the police, and then we don't need to talk about this. But
yeah. You ain't wrong, man. You ain't wrong.
No, it's oh my goodness, a crazy, definitely a crazy time. But man, it feels like though with the comedy though, people don't want to hear it unless there's some political aspect to it. I don't know if you get that too. Like you're saying, you're almost forced to, because if not, people are like, well, aren't you going to comment on what's happening in the world? I don't know. Do you feel that too?
Yeah, unfortunately I do. Because it's like, you know, what's his name? Damn it, what's his name? I can't think of his name.
Comic?
Yeah, comic. Last name of Patton. Patton Oswalt.
Oh,
Patton Oswalt said a joke last year or 2 years ago about, you know, a lot of people are asking him, like, you know, why aren't you telling political jokes? Why aren't you telling jokes about Trump? And he goes, why do I need to tell jokes about Trump when everything that comes out of his mouth is a joke on his own? And I feel like that sometimes, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I would, you know, be remiss not to at least put my 2 cents in there as well.
Right, exactly. It's like a challenge, right? Like, how do I put my own little mark on this, the ridiculousness of this up?
Yeah, how can I make what he said, and you know, as so insane as it was, not only funny but more insane to make people go, maybe he has a point.
Exactly. Yes. That's the best part. Just everything about it, like just the way we were talking before about the makeup. Like, just see someone put half makeup and he's complaining about the lights. I'm like, that's making him orange. I'm like, no, dude, you're orange because you made yourself orange on half your face.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, doesn't even get the roots or the ears or nothing else. The
sweat starts dripping down and the orange gets onto the shirt.
Yeah, the spray tan picture that leaked earlier this year was the greatest thing I ever saw in my life.
I kind of feel like he's when we saw Darth Vader, when they kind of put the head on, they assembled him. I feel like that's Trump. Like every morning they come down with the hair comes down and the spray orange comes in his face.
Yeah, I guess in that scenario, Limbaugh would be Palpatine.
Yeah.
Pick him up. Let's kick him now.
I think even Palpatine's like, dude, I don't even think I would even try some of these tactics. Like, you're going a little too far.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think Trump rivals Palpatine.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've been saying that forever. And their old campaign manager called it the Death Star. And I'm like, do you know what happened to the Death Star? They blew it up 3 times. That's all they did was blow up the Death Stars. That was.
But damn it, he was determined to rebuild it every time too.
He was. Why don't you, like, at some point when she like, hey, look, this is how it blows up. Maybe we'll fix that little glitch in the Death Star.
Yeah, at that point, is it the architect's fault or the construction foreman's fault?
Yeah, I would say I'm paying for this. Come on, man, let's get this thing fixed already.
Yeah. It's a huge architectural design flaw that nobody noticed.
Nobody noticed until it blew up again and again and again. But
hey, you know, Hey, it didn't work. You know, it worked. They didn't blow up successfully completely the first time. So let's do the exact same thing, only make it smaller and harder, and they won't be able to do it. Oh, they did it again. Damn it!
Again. Oh man.
Oh shit!
That was my the big fatal flaw. Oh man, do you see the Mandalorian? Have you watched that?
Oh my god! It is one of the greatest television shows out there right now.
Yes, I'm addicted. I watched it a few times and then I missed a couple things. I'm like, this is why couldn't they have done that for the prequels?
Yeah, I think that would have been a better idea.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
super excited for season 2, and then the Obi-Wan streaming as well. And I'm praying Jon Favreau directs it again.
Yeah. I haven't rewatched it since last year when it first came out, but I'm gonna go back and rewatch it here soon because season 2 starts October 27th or something like that, somewhere around there. Yeah. So I'm all about that. There's gonna be some good Star Wars stuff coming out, and I'm hoping that because 7, 8, and 9 kind of got some flack from the truists, and then at the same time I got some flack, from this and that. But I'm hoping I loved 7, 8, and 9. I think they were fantastic movies. But I'm hoping with the Mandalorian and the Obi-Wan saga that they're going to do on Disney Plus.
That was crazy because it had film elements in a TV show. Like you don't see. I think they were dropping like 20 million an episode.
Yeah. Well, all the TV shows that are shooting like that, especially like the Marvel ones, they're shooting them and putting the money of a movie into every episode, and they're shooting it like a movie. They're not treating it like a television show in any which way, shape, or form.
I didn't know they're doing Marvel TV shows.
Oh yeah.
Really? Wow.
They've got like 8 shows in production right now.
8? Wow.
Yep.
Who's in it? Who are the characters?
So most of them are spin-offs of the movies. So like the guy who plays Falcon and Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, they have their own TV show coming out. And then the guy who plays I can't remember his name, Vision, and then the Forgotten Olsen sister who plays Wanda Maximoff, she has her own TV show coming out. And then they just cast for the She-Hulk TV show. They got a bunch of other stuff coming out too, man.
So this is where the comic should live on TV because there's so many stories and they're so complex that they should have a couple seasons to really explore these characters and the depth of them.
Well, they're going to be tying the movies into the TV shows, and they're going to all play together. So, like, if you didn't watch the TV show, don't go watch the movie because it's going to all tie in together.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
yeah.
Wow.
It's all going to be a part of a greater universe.
So they can tell the other little side stories that you wouldn't see in the movie. Wow.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Very much so. I mean, hell, they do the math on this one, $6.99 at 80 million subscribers. They got the money coming in.
Oh yeah.
That's a ridiculous amount of money per month, and that number's still growing.
That's what got me into get the Disney app was the Mandalorian. I'm like, I got to see this.
See, I got it for everything because I'm a huge Disney nerd. I'm a huge Disney nerd in general. I mean, when we lived in Florida, we had annual passes to Disney for years, and we would spend our weekends there. We would spend nights there. If we had a free moment, we were at Disney.
I didn't get to see the Star Wars one, and I so wish I got to see that exhibit.
Yeah, we moved as they were still building it, so we haven't seen it either. But I saw how big it was going to be, and I've seen pictures of it online. I've talked to friends who've been there. It's epic. I mean, it's just massive.
I can't wait to see it. For me, Star Wars was like kid, and now that was like my everything. So
yeah, mine too. Oh, I mean, well, second for me. Marvel comics were always first, but Star Wars was, I almost had just as much of an impact.
Especially, if you're a sci-fi guy. But I love all those things. I got into The Walking Dead and Westworld, except this season, I don't know. The last season, I don't know what they did. I don't know if you got that show.
I never watched Westworld.
The first one was fantastic. What about were you a Walking Dead guy too?
Oh, I'm still a Walking Dead guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, it was really funny. I'm a big Norman Reedus guy, and I was out at this hotel, and we're at this bar, and I see him. I'm like, Norman. I don't know him, but he comes over. He's like, "What's up, man?" And it was so funny. He was supposed to go on Chelsea Handler's show, and he was like, "I'm so nervous about this," and and we were just calming him down. I'm like, "You're gonna be great. You're Norman Reedus, man. You're on you got a motorcycle show coming out." But it was so cool to see how humble he was. I mean, he's huge.
Yeah.
Huge star and the nicest guy. So, huge fan of that genre. Because I always think, I don't know if you did too, like, what would I be like in an apocalypse? And then, I'm like, well, okay. Now I know what to do. Now I'm living in in an apocalypse. I feel like I got some good training in. I know what to do.
Yeah, see, if the apocalypse ever happened, I always pictured myself as like a cross between Negan and Rick.
Oh, okay.
Where I would kind of be dickish, like, Negan, but have that good control, down to earth factor about, like Rick.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between.
Either way, you're running a camp.
Yeah. I wouldn't burn people, with irons in their face for disrespecting me. But, I might stab him in the foot.
You might walk around with a baseball bat with barbed wire on it.
Oh, absolutely, and whistle all the time. That would be me 100% with leather jacket. Hell yeah.
That is a great character.
And he pulls it off so well.
Oh, he does, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great actor. I've loved him since I first, saw him on Supernatural fucking 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. It's funny, they're doing all the spin-offs on that show, too.
Yeah, no. It's going to be, there's so much good shit's going to be happening in the entertainment world. Hopefully the public world takes a hint.
I know. Well, that's the weirdest thing out here is just like everything is just stopped.
Yeah. And, music, entertainment as far as like, movies are starting to go back into production, TV shows are starting to go back into production, socially distanced and everyone wearing masks and safety, blah, 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 blah. But like comedy and music, which is another huge part of LA, is going to be the last to come back from it.
I noticed though, they're starting to do these outdoor shows.
Yes.
So I was out when they were doing all the protests. The Laugh Factory was kind of like a hub. They were kind of the center of all the protests, and I lived like 2 blocks from there. And it was cool. Like Tiffany Haddish got up, and she wasn't necessarily doing stand-up, but a little elements of stand-up / speaker. And then they had a bunch of comedians out there.
Yeah,
like, we should do more. I didn't hear about it, and now I see these drive-in shows or outdoor parking lot shows. So is that happening in Virginia?
Bert Kreischer was here not too long ago. Eliza Scherzinger is out doing one as well. And then Whitney Cummings is getting ready to go out there and do one with Taylor Tomlinson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know but I'm not sure where they're going. I didn't really look into it too much. But I have a friend who's one of the producers at the Comedy Store and Hollywood Improv. And, I've been waiting, he's just been like, I have no idea what's going on.
Right. I'm surprised at the store because they have a huge parking lot, and same with the Improv too. That I'm surprised they wouldn't do some outdoor shows there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's odd. It really
it's
is.
So weird. I walk by there, the Comedy Store, all the time, and it's so odd to see nobody there.
Yeah.
There's always people just hanging out on the patio at the bar.
Yeah, that's my goal. I would love to be able to play that stage.
You got to come out.
Just give me 5 minutes. I'll be happy as hell.
Yeah. I've done one. I've done a couple in the belly room, and then I did one. I was supposed to go on, and then Eddie Griffin got on, and then that was the end of it. Like he goes on for like 2 hours, and then everyone laughed. So I'm like, I'll just run up to the mic when people are leaving, and walking out the door, just to say that I did it.
Yeah, I mean that happens a lot out there.
Oh yeah. I did one show, and I was practicing to do a showcase at the Laugh Factory, and it was like a Tuesday night. It was one of the bringer shows, and I hate those, but I only did it to practice. And they're like, okay, to everybody, it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a long night. Damon Wayans is going to be here. And then it's getting really, really late. Don't leave. Damon Wayans is going to get here. And then we don't have Damon Wayans. Instead, Marc Gordon's going to go up and do. And I was just practicing honing a 5-minute set. And boos were raining before I even got on stage. It was so weird. And then I was just like, okay, I did my 5. And they're like, oh my God. It was awful. The whole set booing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the game out here.
But at the same time, you know, you get to say that you were the replacement for Damon Wayans.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
like I said, my buddy that is the producer out there for the Hollywood Improv and the Comedy Store was telling me that he was getting ready to do a set at I think it was the Hollywood Improv, and he got bumped for Chappelle.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, you know, that's cool. You know, if I'm gonna get bumped for anybody, I'm gonna get bumped for Chappelle. That's cool.
Totally. I had a weird kind of thing. Like when I was in college, Sam Kinison did a show, came to our school, and he died right before that. And then he died right after that. And then I saw Rodney Dangerfield at the Laugh Factory as a surprise, and he died after. So I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm the kiss of death for some of these comedians.
All right. So mental note: do not play when you're there.
Yeah. It was awesome to see Rodney though. That was like a highlight.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rodney would be a highlight. One thing that I'm waiting for, because I know that he was, doing a lot of sets out there getting ready for a special, was Eddie Murphy.
Oh, I would love to see Eddie. I heard he's not a nice guy, but hilarious. Like that for me, the Eddie Murphy Raw, and the one before that was like everything. That's all we did was just listen to that.
Yeah, and what's cool about those shows were the things that were acceptable that he was talking about back then. Buying getting an African wife that showed a little bit more respect than these American women. Me just saying that is now a faux pas. The jokes that he said back then, he hasn't done it in almost 40 years. So. How is that gonna? How is this comedy gonna hold up? What is he gonna do? What is he gonna say? There's a huge curiosity factor across everyone's thought process for that.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, because like you said, he's gonna have to gear up and go to some of these clubs and what goes on in his set. That's gonna be fascinating. That one when he did SNL, that was amazing to see him go back and still have it.
Yeah, that was only last year. That was
right. Because
2019,
like a really good comedy in years.
Yeah,
but then I heard he's going to go back and do Beverly Hills Cop 4, and then Coming to America 2.
Yeah, I've heard Coming to America 2. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, and then another Beverly Hills Cop. So,
but yeah, I mean, I know I also know he's going to be coming out with another stand-up special. But that guy all got put on hold because he was doing,
Yeah, you can't play.
He can't play anywhere.
Unless you go to Actor Marc place in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, but, the next couple of years is going to be interesting as far as entertainment, day-to-day life, and government. I mean, the doors are wide open for people to capitalize on a lot of different things, and it depends on what they do with it.
Yeah, I'm actually super concerned because I feel like if Trump does end up stealing this election, that we're going to have full dictatorship.
Well, I'm actually a little bit more concerned otherwise. I'm more concerned that if he loses and him not giving up the House.
Yeah.
The full dictatorship, I would hope, we would eventually, rise up and, stand up against the tyranny. But the repercussions of him not wanting to give up the presidency has me more afraid.
Because he's got the people, the supporters,
the
militia guys have got. So who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I read, because I Googled this because I've been, curious about it. And supposedly it would be the Secret Service's job to remove him from office. Like, forcefully. But my question is, how many people that are the Secret Service are going to stand with him?
Right.
So I don't know. It's scary to think about.
It is. I know. It's like what, almost a little over a month, and it's just gonna get crazier and crazier, especially with these judges now, where everyone just, I think, like you said, man, they're gonna put it in there and contest it, and who knows? Come January, he might not still acknowledge the election results.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen past that? Yeah, it's frightening. I'm already looking. Maybe I need to get out, go to another country.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about moving to Canada.
I'm thinking New Zealand. Nobody messes with New Zealand. They have hobbits. So.
Well, apparently Canada has better comedy than us. So.
Oh, that's true. You're right. Yeah, right. I'm short, so like I want to feel tall with the hobbits. But,
oh yeah.
Yeah, but maybe Canada might be the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, New Zealand might be work too. I don't know. Got a lot of great white sharks out there.
Yes, they do, but they have that cool hookah dance too when they're playing rugby, and I was always a fan of that.
That's a dangerous ass sport right there.
Yes, it is. There was a guy. I'm a big Philadelphia Eagle guy. We have a guy who actually played rugby in from New Zealand, and he was like, there's a video of him. You got to see. He's like 300 pounds. He's an offensive lineman, and everyone else is like 230, 240. It literally looks like a scene out of Billy Madison. He's like running full speed. People are bouncing off. People are like being dragged down, and no one can stop him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a hilarious video.
That sounds about right.
Yes,
definitely. Woo. It has been a fun time talking with you, man.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on in such short notice too.
Oh, absolutely. Where else was I going to go? I'm at home.
That's true.
Yeah. No, but it's been a blast, man. You definitely have an interesting story. Very funny. So
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you're all right. I appreciate it.
I got to check out your stand-up.
I haven't put a lot of it out there. There's one video out there from back in July,
Okay.
but I haven't put a lot of it. It's on my channel, but I haven't put a lot. A lot of it I'm just kind of holding on to. I need to put out more.
Well, you have a green screen. I have a green screen. Maybe we could do some stuff together.
Oh, dude, that would be epic. I would love that.
I did a whole music video. I'll send it to you where everything was socially distanced.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, I would love to do some stuff with you, man. Just hit me
Yeah.
up on Instagram and we'll go from there.
Excellent.
But yeah, dude, it's been epic time talking to you, man. I had a blast.
Me too, man. Time flew.
It really did. It didn't feel like 2 hours.
No, not at all.
But hey, like I said at the beginning, when you get two comedians on, on a show together, things are going to happen.
Exactly. We covered a lot of topics.
We did, and we had a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely. It's a blast.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you. Hope we can talk again soon, man. Like I said, reach out and we'll definitely do some stuff.
All right.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
No problem. You two have a good one. All right, guys. I'm gonna have to turn this into another 2-episode, 2-parter episode. But I had a lot of fun tonight. It was fantastic. I hope you enjoyed it too. Come back again tomorrow. Tomorrow I will have a new rapper to the scene. A gentleman by the name of Twizm, TWIZM, on the show. So that'll be a fun episode. Back to one episode, one guest tomorrow. But it should be fun. It should be interesting. Having a lot of other fun on a Friday Eve. So please come back tomorrow. But until tomorrow, stay happy, stay healthy, and as always, stay heavy. Peace.